Thank you so much for joining us for your Ring of Honor and Impact post-show. It is August 31st somehow. My goodness, where does the time go? I am joined by the wonderful SP3. Okay, here's what happens. Reg never remembers to tell me when he can't make the show. So sometime when I have an inkling he might, like when he's a big StarCast hotshot doing live Grapsody recordings, I'm like, are you going to make the show today? And he's like, oh, no, I can't. Come on, Reg, help me help you a little bit, man. But I am very excited to be joined by SP3 because here's the thing. You need someone at the buzzer. You're coming down the home stretch. You need a little extra support. We pull in SP3. Always there, always ready. Sorry, Matt Cardona. You're not always ready. SP3 is always ready.
I'm the Robert Horry of Fightful.
There you go.
When they need a clutch shot, I can have 0 points. They'll find me in the corner and I'll hit the three. Hit the three at the buzzer. That's what I'm here for. But I'm glad you asked me. You're one of my favorite people to talk Ring of Honor with. You or Reg are my favorite people to talk Ring of Honor with. And we have a Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Sunday. We didn't know it before Wednesday, but it is a Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
I don't think they even knew. So, yeah. I mean, this is a weird one. So right off the bat, this is not like the best episode of ROH, right? We pretty much knew that would be the case. They tape on the Collision cycle, and Collision was taped at a different way in time as they normally are from their usual schedule because of the big Wembley show, right? So we knew this was going to be a little off kilter. I gotta say, if it's going to be 57 minutes and no matches that make sense, I don't know, man. I don't know. You could do a little better than that, but right off the bat, there are a couple of things that I would like to complain about on the internet before we dive in that have been week over week complaints, and I do feel like they are worth reiterating in a sense, which is ROH operating on this who's available in the back on Saturdays thing doesn't really work too well, especially in situations like this. Now, we've seen a course correction, I feel like, since Death Before Dishonor 2 now, where we started to see stories, we started to see people kind of isolate what titles they're going for instead of being like, this week you're in a trio and that week you're a singles competitor and here's a bunch of matches. This was a huge step back in that regard for this week, but a little bit more expected. I'll have a little bit more grace around it because there were obviously extenuating circumstances, but this does go back to the reoccurring problem with ROH, which is that people are there to see Collision and not ROH, right? They're there for a Collision show and they're entering the building or they're leaving the building or whatever, as opposed to those Orlando tapings or the pre-AEW era where people were showing up for ROH. And it makes it really tricky because your live audience doesn't care and you're not giving anybody at home something to care about. And we're going to talk about ZSJ and Metalik in a minute, but I was like, I think ZSJ's been on this program more than Claudio has. You're ROH champion, which I ain't complaining about. I love a good Tekker match, please, any day of the week. But at the same time, he works for New Japan Pro Wrestling, SP3. This isn't like a great thing that we're getting more New Japan TV title defenses on the show than we are World Championship title defenses. So that's kind of complaint number one. And complaint number two is we got to get this production stuff figured out, man. It looks like dark. It feels like dark. And from the production standpoint too, there was an episode around Forbidden Door where we were in Chicago and Toronto and all over the place, and there was nothing commentary could do to save that. Today, we get like a weird interview giggle backstage that doesn't get edited out. We got some pretty like lame Ronda Rousey chants during Marina Shafir's match that really should have been audio turned down. And I have like no patience for that with a 57-minute episode. What were you doing? What were you editing together that you couldn't take care of these tiny details? It was 57 minutes. It's normally double that. So I just feel like we were making all this progress and this week took a step back. Now, I'm assuming they're going to get back on track. Lord knows there's things to worry about in AEW, but this also is a go-home episode that we didn't know was going to be a go-home episode to All In. So feels very weird, and we're going to get into the implications of that too. I'm very excited about Samoa Joe and Shane Taylor. I think this is actually a great opportunity to maybe move that belt to Shane Taylor. Don't know how I feel about the tag title picture yet. I'm going to let that one happen before I make any judgments, but we of course saw the tag titles change hands at Wembley. Love what it did for the story. Don't love what it does for this promotion. So mixed results for me on that. But let's start by complaining, SP3. What are your thoughts on what we're getting? Like, do you feel the same frustrations that I do, I guess, with the lack of separation in rosters and this combined taping schedule just not really being conducive to creating a separate product?
Yeah, this was like a rare opportunity because if anyone who usually sees my content notice I have a different background. I am in Chicago right now, so I actually got to watch Ring of Honor with someone else, which is not something that I usually do. And it's actually Stat King from the Trio Heat YouTube channel who does a Ring of Honor review, so he's been watching it, as well as us. And I was like, this show used to be one of my favorites. Like the first 10 weeks, I was like, you know what this show reminds me of though now? NWA Power. Because I was high on that in the first 10 weeks as
well. I can't allow that. Okay. I can't allow SP3 to come on here and compare it to NWA. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, am I wrong? No, that was really good. The first
Power was really good. Like when it had like Zicky Dice and Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston and a lot of the talent that moved on, Thunder Rosa, NWA Power. People don't want to believe me now because they just had Tyrus as your champion and they were like, let's give it to EC3. That's a great move.
Like, look at the wrestling landscape right now. All those guys are the guys that are like the most over and most popular that were on that NWA Power stretch. Like LA Knight is one of the biggest baby faces in WWE. He was Eli Drake getting drunk on a Christmas episode of NWA Power just 4 years ago. Eddie Kingston got people to pay attention to him again after he had a little bit of a lull in NWA that got him his contract pretty much in AEW. Thunder Rosa was like this kind of like mysterious kind of aura factor that got her a contract in AEW. But like with the early Ring of Honor Universal Studios shows, I was getting into things and I was feeling like there was like some type of identity to the show. And then once Collision came into play, it's totally taken the identity where it's just ROH dark. It really is. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When you have nothing but matches and no promos in front of the fans, and I'm not asking for a dedicated promo segment. I am talking about someone wins a match and just talks about it afterwards. That's all I want. That's all I want. Just win a match and then do a promo afterwards. Because then I feel like these guys are actually in front of an audience, actually being wrestlers and not just wrestling 2 to 3 minute matches. They actually have promos. They're actually establishing their character, doing stories. Because as much as I enjoyed the backstage promos, that's all we get on this show. So we need something to get these people invested. And maybe if you start doing that, you'll see week to week, maybe more people are more invested in the Ring of Honor shows and Ring of Honor matches. When you go to the next Collision taping, just give it a try. Just try something out.
SP3, you raise a really good point because I was very into the beginning phases of this ROH reboot too. And I think it was because they were taping out of Orlando and they didn't have a choice but to plan 8 weeks in advance or whatever. Like they had to lay out a plan and they had to stick to it because they were not going week to week in a live arena. Now, I love that the ROH talent is getting all this exposure as well, but the lack of clarity in the roster is something that's also a huge issue for me because sometimes they just spill who's out of the locker room from Collision onto this program. And also I get frustrated when people are competing in different divisions over and over again. I think because I really liked how ROH was functioning before it shut down, and there was a tremendous amount of clarity. You chose a division and it was Bible, whatever belt you were going after. You're going after the pure title, you're going to wrestle under pure rules. That is the division you're in, and your wins lead toward that. So I've said a few times, and I hate to reiterate, but like it went from the most logical wrestling American television program to the least logical wrestling American television program. And so that gap, I think, is why ROH fans have so much to complain about. I did feel like it was getting back on track. So I'm really hoping that this week is kind of the exception in that regard. I think it just came from this weird Collision schedule. I'm sure that factored into it. It's kind of avoidable, but
And to mention the production things, and usually they have 5 days to do the editing for the production. Kate, they had 12, and they still couldn't do it.
12.
12 days. This was filmed 12 days ago, in case anybody was wondering.
You could have edited 5 minutes a day and you still would have had a cushion. That is how short this episode was and how many extra days that they had. There's really kind of no excuse for this, but it also just kind of loses that ROH feel when it's fatigued crowds or crowds that are filtering in. So there's a lot of problems that they still are up against, but I did feel like we were at least getting stories that were making sense. So I'm hoping next week we get back on track, but I feel like the overall pain point for this program is they need separate rosters and a separate taping schedule or separate places to go. Like, I always feel like ROH is at its best when it kind of has homes or mainstays, like when they're kind of got these hubs around the country or whatever that they consistently hit. So those are kind of my frustrations with it. And we're going to talk about the pay-per-view. If you guys are tuning in for the review proper, we're going to start that at 9:00. We just noticed that people join us in our usual time slot more often than not, but feel free to get into your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com. It's been a while since we reminded the good people what a humper chat is. What the hell is a humper chat, you might ask? How did they get this past their boss? Well, it was our boss's idea to call it that. So humper chats function just like super chats. You can get your question or statement read on air at humperchats.com. Fightful just gets to keep a little bit more of the percentage, so we prefer those here, but we are happy to take your money in any way, shape, or form that you want to give it to us, including Fightful Select subscriptions. You get your daily CM Punk update on FightfulSelect.com now. More clarity around the skirmish with Miro that we heard about. More clarity around the details with the CM Punk backstage fight. We found out today that there was security footage that should hopefully expedite things and move things along. There was also a call with Tony Khan, so there are more details about that. Those are readily available to the public. But FightfulSelect.com has all the scoopskis you could ever want. And it also has bonus podcasts featuring yours truly with Alex Pulowski. This weekend, we have Payback and we have All Out. I always want to flip them. Call them all in and all out. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Very glad I have Monday off from work so I can sleep in because it's going to be a long one. But looking forward to it. You can get your alternative post show at FightfulSelect.com. The main channel will have your usual guys, but Alex and I have fun behind the paywall, okay? It's younger, sexier shows. So let's talk a little bit about how we have an ROH AEW pay-per-view coming up. And let's talk a little bit about Wembley because there were some ROH product implications of things that happened. Now, the ROH tag titles were defended by Aussie Open. They lost to Better Than Babies, I like to call them.
Better than you, babies.
I was like, what do they have against babies? My God, they just hate babies and Roddy Strong's neck. It's terrible.
Jesus. Not caring about people's neck health. Sheesh.
I know. We both tweeted the same thing about Marina Shafir. We'll talk about that later, but Better Than You, baby. Of course, MJF and Adam Cole winning those tag titles. And I really like what it did for their story because I was watching that pre-show match looking at the math of who was going to turn on who, and we didn't really get it because they won. So we also consequently didn't get a turn later in the night in that main event. However, I have a really big pain point around the fact that these tag titles went from the Briscoes to Jay Briscoe's passing to a memorial ladder match, the Reach for the Sky ladder match that was in his honor and made to feel very important, to the Lucha Brothers, who literally never defended them on ROH television, but did on AEW television, to Aussie Open, who had a short reign, but at least defended them a couple times. And now they're kind of being used as a prop in a bigger AEW story. And I don't like that trend, especially going from where they were to, what were they, 19-time champions? The Briscoes, I think?
13-time, I believe.
13 times, okay. I was like, I think Jay's total championships was 19, but 13-time tag champs, to them being a prop for MJF and Adam Cole. Now, you compare this to the Bloodline story in WWE, and that feels more true day over day over day. I gotta say, like, that's a very apt comparison. So I liked what it did for the intent that they were going for. I don't like what it does to my Ring of Honor, But I'm intrigued to see how this flips back the other way. This story obviously leaves a great opening for the Kingdom to come and win them. But these are all things that feel like they should be building out on the promotion that they're in.
Yeah, that would definitely be nice. But I actually addressed this as well when I was watching it, and I said it to my friend. I'll say it here. The one main flaw that a lot of people don't bring up about Tony Khan is his lack of coming up with an idea when something happens. Because we had to deal with Jade Cargill being on a treadmill for 6 months because Chris Statlander was injured. We've had to deal with so many instances, but the main instances in this case is Jay Briscoe's passing totally messed up the tag team division for Ring of Honor, because Tony Khan has gone on record and said his plan was Briscoes versus a Lucha Bros for year 2 for him under Ring of Honor. Simple solution would have been do Aussie Open versus Lucha Bros. I mean, it was right there for you. And whatever feud you were gonna do, however many matches you were gonna do with Briscoes and Lucha Bros, you could have done that with Aussie Open. We literally went from Lucha Bros to Aussie Open as tag team champions, and have never seen an Aussie Open versus Lucha Bros tag team match. We've never seen it because they won it in a 4-way.
And look, SP3, I don't mean to be harsh, but I find that to be plain silly. Okay, I hate to use such strong language. Seems kind of silly to me because it's so obvious. There's so many things that are right there. And actually, when ROH kind of turned that corner after Death Before Dishonor, and I felt like things were really good, I was like, see how simple all these fixes that we've been complaining are? And then this week, it just feels like we took a major step back. However, hopefully, we just get back on track. We've got Matthew Plus being nice to me, which makes me itchy. He's normally in here trolling, but he says, your makeup looks positively radiant tonight. I'm assuming there's a snarky super chat coming behind that, but I'll take more of your money. But that's very kind of you. Thank you, Matthew Plus. And I will simply not read whatever other snarky chat you have and make something up instead. So Matthew Plus actually... always here to troll us, but always supporting. We do appreciate it. We got some more super chats and humper chats coming in from you guys. We thank you so much for the support. We're going to switch into the ROH proper review at the top of the hour so that we can bridge the gap to Impact, because we had a 57-minute episode. So Tony Khan might not be that great at adjusting on the fly, but damn it, if SP3 and I are not professionals. Now, the other thing that we should talk about is that we have what I'm very excited about, and that's Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor, who deserves this spot so much. He gave a great promo last week talking about Samoa Joe, talking about how he was holding it down while all these big stars had kind of moved on, and he doesn't get any of the credit for that because the whole time he was there, everybody was talking about this past era. Loved that he called that back, because now we're in an era where he can face those guys, and I really, really loved the story that they got into right away. Very happy that they chose to do this after Samoa Joe and Dalton, because I thought this was going to be happening the first time around with that Eliminator tournament. So very excited for that. And it's cool that even though I prefer ROH titles get defended on ROH, it is very cool that Shane Taylor gets to have such an important moment on an AEW pay-per-view. I think this might be the place to do this. I think it might be time to transition this belt from Samoa Joe over to Shane Taylor. That's always a really fun story if you want to revisit it at some point too. But Samoa Joe he's working Collision. He's got other stuff going on. He's in like 8 different storylines, I feel like, all the time. He is one of my favorite big men in the business. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing him out there taking on this ROH talent, but it just feels like in a world where your tag champs aren't around, Claudio's not around, Samoa Joe's been there a little bit. But let's put these on guys that feel like Ring of Honor guys and get this thing out of the mud is kind of where I stand. And Shane Taylor, man, he's a horse you can back any day of the week. Good stuff, I think, if he goes over. What are your thoughts and expectations for that match?
I think immediately when they announced that that's going to be on All Out, it's like, I get to see big, meaty men slapping meat live in the United Center. Can't wait for it. I thought Samoa Joe's performance at All In was probably his best match since coming to AEW, because he kind of felt like He was in his comfort zone. He was on the big stage in a big stadium show in front of 80,000. He's versing a career rival there. And then in retrospect, it's really just Samoa Joe is like relieved to be out there because he had to talk his opponent to getting out there. But I mean, in retrospect, however you want to look at it, it felt like he was just refreshed and he was able to breathe. So I would love for him to drop the TV title on Sunday to Shane Taylor, for Shane Taylor to get a main run in front of more eyes than what was previously on Ring of Honor, because when it came to that last era before Tony Khan bought it, it was him and Jonathan Gresham. They were the faces of Ring of Honor. They were Ring of Honor through and through. They bled it. They were it. And they were giving us the best stuff during that time. So I would love to see him get back on it. But once again, I will highlight what I said before. This is not the plan, so Joe will drag this out until we get to the plan. The plan is Joe dropping the title to Mark Briscoe. So however long Mark Briscoe is out, I think Joe's going to keep the title. He just doesn't know. It does not seem, I have not seen any proof that this man knows how to adjust on the fly. And the adjustment, you're 100% right. The adjustment to do if Mark Briscoe is injured is put the title on Shane Taylor. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to wait till Mark Briscoe comes back.
The only time I remember Tony Khan kind of adequately adjusting to when somebody got white hot was when he put the title on Jamie Hayter. That feels like the only time he like capitalized on the moment. Now, I also feel like
and the acclaimed.
And the acclaimed, but even that one, it took the second time around, right? We had the retention first. Now that match kind of heated up to where we were going, I think. So no complaints about that. But I do feel like we got to make some effort. This is like a product vulnerability rather than like, I don't like that booking. So I'm hoping that they realize that Samoa Joe has been around much more than Claudio, much more than your tag title. So I will say he's been, I think he was supposed to be filming Sweet Tooth and then everybody went on strike and he was like, well, I'm around. So I'll work.
Yes, I got told that by someone in the company because they saw my complaining tweet that this random tournament came out of nowhere and they was like, yeah, just because of the SAG thing. I was like, oh, okay. I'll shut up.
There you go. No need to shut up. Hey, there's a lot of times where I'm sure you get this. I hear so many things and I believe like none of them. Someone DM'd me to tell Sean that AR Fox also started a fight in Wembley and he was not in the country. So people will just say stuff that they feel like.
True.
But to your point, like, it's our job to look at what's there creatively, and when stuff doesn't make sense creatively, I don't really care what's going on backstage. It's not my fault. I'm not trying to keep people from punching each other in the head. I don't give a shit. So that's not my job. My job is to complain on the internet about things I don't like.
Exactly.
Crazy things I do like.
And that's kind of the response I had because I did say, I was like, okay, I'll shut up now. They was like, no, don't shut up. We actually like when you say you and other people like you, Kate, are the only people that talk about Ring of Honor. So yeah, keep talking. Whether it's positive or negative, it gets the word out and it gets people to pay attention. So
I will never give up on ROH. I'm just that girl.
I won't. I've been here.
I've
loved ROH since I stepped foot. Ring of Honor Final Battle 2006. Saw Homicide beat Bryan Danielson for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So I will be here until the wheels fall off. I stayed during that last era when it was rough. I came back. I had left. I'll tell you, Kate, this is a true story. I left Ring of Honor in 2009 when Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. I was at that show, the Final Countdown in Hammerstein. And me and my friends, we looked at each other at the end of that matchup, and we were like, we're never going to come back here. The God is leaving. Brian's leaving. Brian's leaving. Nigel's leaving. We got no reason to come back here. And it was Kevin Steen and El Generico's feud that made me go back to Ring of Honor. So I've been here since then, stuck around, took that 1 year break, but so many years. I can't give up on it. I'm going to try.
I know. It's an abusive relationship, but here we are. And we are at the top of the hour, so we are going to flip over into our usual Ring of Honor review. Thank you so much for joining us. We always see a little bit of a spike when people tune in at 9 o'clock, so we did want to save the actual episode that we're reviewing tonight for now. So we will remind you to get in your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com. We'll also ask you to leave a thumbs up on this video if you could. It helps people find us in the algorithm. And we'll remind you to subscribe to Fightful Select. You got your daily CM Punk updates. You got me back there. There is also, I don't know if it's up already, but there are more details coming out about AR Fox's absence and what's going on there that are being posted on Fightful Select as well. I know that creative feels like it flipped a bit of a switch. So keep an eye out on those on FightfulSelect.com. We appreciate you so much for joining us. Today's episode, not a lot of memorable stuff on it, SP3. But I saw Zack Sabre Jr. and Metalik, and I was like, we're going to have a hell of a main event, and it kicked off the show. And I was like, it's just going to go downhill from here. What are we doing? You have ZSJ versus Metalik. You have ZSJ at Collision and not at Wembley. I can't even, that's a whole other can of worms that I can't even open, man. I don't get it. God bless Grado and Jeff Jarrett. I don't understand how the hell you're not putting Zack Sabre Jr. on instead of 74 video packages. Maybe it was a part of the we're giving Will Ospreay a sales pitch to come here in 6 months deal. Zack Sabre Jr. recently made it pretty clear that he's not going to be working in American promotion anytime soon. And what was a very entertaining promo where he called Ospreay Billy No Brains as well, which I always appreciate. But
hey, Billy No Brains, I just love his accent. He's just great.
He's the best. My sister doesn't watch wrestling. If you watched my reviews, I mentioned her, y'all know this. But she will ask me like, oh, what's so-and-so's character? If there's someone that I bring up frequently. And she's like, oh, what's Zack Sabre Jr.'s character? I was like, that he's the best technical wrestler in the world and calls people dickheads. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you just gotta watch him. It's the best.
I once described him to my missus. I was like, he's a George Michael obsessed technical wrestler. That's my description of Zack Sabre Jr.
It's fantastic. And it doesn't sound like much. And then you watch it and you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. So she was in on ZSJ. She called him the Tony Hawk of professional wrestling because of his look and his gait. Like he has such a long, like proportions wise. But it gets us kicked off here, which I feel kind of odd about this kicking off the show. But we're going to kick off our show with some super chats and humper chats that you guys have sent in, and we appreciate those. I mean, Norma's saying, sup, partners? Sup, partner? Tonight was ROH Dark Elevator. My highlight was that there was a wrestler named Beef.
Oh, my God.
Guy. He's mean.
I marked out for Beef. I'll admit, I marked out.
Beef is pretty great. I'm not mad about it. Maybe it'll be better next week. I think it will. I think we'll kind of return to regular form next week. I hope. And Shane Monster saying, just a quick stop to say, no Athena, no Stokely, make me something. Oh, well, Starfield Day. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
I 100% laughed a lot less on this episode without Athena and Stokely here. I was missing them. That's like my uncle and my big sister, and they wasn't around at the family reunion.
They weren't here, and it stinks. There was just a lot of noticeable absences, like just even like Layla Hirsch, Trisha Dora, people that were used to seeing this was just it's like all the extras of a movie decided to start playing the lead roles, and that's not meant to be degrading toward that talent in any way. It's just not what we've been seeing on our screen week after week. But this match, to the surprise of 0 people, was fantastic. We get a rematch here from the Cruiserweight Classic of Metalik and ZSJ from 2016. Some really, really fun stuff that happened in this. This ends with Metalik going for the rope walk, elbow drop, but Zack Sabre Jr., as usual, catching in the Fujiwara armbar. These finishes, he did this to Action Andretti too, where it's like you're cranking back on both and your opponent has to submit with their foot or verbally or whatever.
I marked out Kate to that.
My God. With his foot. He's like, it's so crazy how it goes from such a smooth transition from, you got to get that timing right. If you screw up the timing of a top rope into the cravat that he'll catch people in, these arm bars, it doesn't work. Like everything kind of falls apart if the timing is messed up. I've seen it happen. It's not great. Haven't seen it happen with him, but I've seen it happen. And then to go from that fluidity into the viciousness of those is really, really rough. We also got a nice overhead shot of him stomping in this, but some other things that I just really, really liked about this match. The story that we got between these two. They had each other scouted. They faced each other before, but Zack Sabre Jr. going for these early submissions and Metalik being able to kind of slip away a lot in this, I thought was really wonderful. Love ZSJ going for the handshake and, of course, turning it into a wrist lock. Metalik, you fool. How didn't you see that coming? But some really good stuff here from Metalik, too, picking the pace up with the hooking of Zack Sabre Jr.'s arm and hitting that step-up Hurricane Rana, I thought was great. I think Zack Sabre Jr.'s La Mystica into the Cobra Twist, so good when he took it down to the ground. But again, Metalik squirming out. Just some really, really simple storytelling here. And this is why the techers rule the luchas, okay? Right here. Because you can make a story out of essentially no story, like pretty quickly when your wrestling is this far advanced and you are kind of colliding these styles a little bit. Like, I really, really appreciate that in every Zack Sabre Jr. match, we get a story even when there isn't one, whether it's just him targeting a body part, in this case, being aware of all of Metalik's lucha prowess. He gave him praise earlier in the match. I love how much technical wrestling can slow down matches like that. I saw it with Pete Dunne on Tuesday in the Cruiserweight Classic. I wish. The Heritage Cup Invitational in a great match, but again, that technical style when you're going with someone that's a million miles an hour, really easy way to control the paces of these things. Because my big complaint, I don't really have big complaints, but a complaint I have with lucha wrestling is sometimes it gets superfluous and sometimes it gets to a million miles an hour when you're in there with a techer. Smarty Pants know how to stop those things and break your fingers and all these delicious things. So this was match of the night for me. Unfortunately, it was our opener and there wasn't a whole lot on the back end of this, but I ain't complaining about Metalik and Zack Sabre Jr. ever, ever, ever. This was fantastic. Wrestler of the Year candidate for sure. It's either him or Will Ospreay, and it's whatever one I just watched, SP3. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but what were your thoughts on this match? Anything else you want to discuss or call out here?
Bro, I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. has been the most consistent wrestler of the year, so seeing him have a good to great matchup on a Thursday randomly, it seems like a lot of times when he's on Ring of Honor television, I am totally fine with. I love that they acknowledge their history together and the fact that I understand why someone like Tony Khan, because he's just like us. He remembers these things, or he looked it up and he remembered it. These two did open the Cruiserweight Classic final because they were in the semifinal, the opener of that show. TJP and Kota Ibushi was the next match, and then that led to TJP versus Metalik in the main event. So that history, I understand why probably that was the thought Tony Khan had in opening the show with this, but this should have been the main event. I feel like we would feel a lot better about this episode overall if that was the last thing that we saw and not the main event we actually got, where I was just like, they really don't build up anybody to face these guys. That's how I felt at the end of the show.
Half the time, the trios champs are walking around doing tag matches. I don't know what to tell you, but it's not great. It's not great.
And I know you didn't say, but I was like, the team that's going to be versing the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions should be in a trios matchup against this team because that's the only trio they built up with that feud that they had. Like, come on. It's quite obvious they're the team to dethrone them, but they're facing the tag team champions. Never makes sense. But this matchup, I love the Styles Clash. I love ZSJ. He had that little bit of aggression because he remembered Metalik beat him and he had something to prove. So he had a chip on his shoulder. That's why he kept going back to the ground game, kept going back to the submissions. I like when Metalik's in there with someone who has a little bit different style. I feel like if, like you said, it gets kind of over the top or too much if he's in there with another luchador. When he has someone to balance his style a lot more, like a very different style, like Zack Sabre Jr., it's always the better matchup. Their matchup at the Cruiserweight Classic was great. This was great as well, and by far the best thing on the show. But now this is the section, Kate, where I complain because I gave you the benefit of the doubt, Tony Khan. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. When Zack Sabre Jr. pulled up on Orange Cassidy before Forbidden Door, I was like, okay, I'm fine now. I thought we were doing Zack Sabre Jr. versus Samoa Joe at Forbidden Door, but Zack Sabre Jr. and Orange Cassidy are the two best champions in the world. So if you're going to hold off on ZSJ versus Samoa Joe for London, maybe, I'm totally fine with him being a part of this Forbidden Door four-way for the International Championship. But we get through Wembley, we get through London, Samoa Joe and CM Punk. I can probably count on one hand the amount of minutes CM Punk talked about Samoa Joe in the lead up to that matchup. One, because he has 146 feuds to deal with. So he could have done one of those at Wembley if you really wanted to get him on the card. And you could have done ZSJ versus Joe there. Or you could have just done ZSJ and Joe there and then say CM Punk for the Chicago show, because the Chicago show is the tougher sell because it comes after the 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium, but you're doing a arena show the next week and you no draws. You didn't even build up. You spent like 10 minutes on Collision every week to build up this damn show, and now you got to do the whole build up in 1 week when you could have just done ZSJ and Joe, kept Punk completely off the whole thing, and maybe everybody be talking about the most biggest wrestling event of all time instead of CM Punk, who said to Dwayne Johnson, your arms are too short to box with God, but Dolph Ziggler's little brother and Dylan McKay's kid can box with God.
A rare SP3 rant. That was so good. And I agree with you. I think maybe they were thinking Death Before Dishonor would be ZSJ and Samoa Joe. Sorry. Properly billed. Joseph of the Samoans. Peppy Zack. Much better. But, of course, that conflicted with the G1. Now, here's the thing. This isn't parent-teacher conferences where you get your schedule at the beginning of the month. You know when the G1 is. Like, we're very aware. So poor planning there. But I got to say, I couldn't be more with you. Now, you're going to want CM Punk. You're going to want the biggest draw in your company probably at the biggest wrestling event of all time. I don't hate bringing a storied feud over there. I hate Zack Sabre Jr. being not on that card. Like, that feels like an omission. And I know we put the Stan in ZSJ. Like, the S stands for Stan. It's SP3 and me. But, like, a lot of other people were, like, noticeably absent from the card is Zack Sabre Jr. And I couldn't agree more, especially when you had a 2-hour pre-show with mostly video packages. What are we doing? So felt like a noticeable absence. I don't know if they didn't like that he said I'm not signing there or what the deal was, but it feels like a swing and a miss. Now, I still hope they pay this off. I think that the tag angle that they built out with Samoa Joe and this TV title for TV title angle was so well done. It came at the end of a 19-match episode where I was so tired and had no interest in seeing anything because there were no title defenses, and they blew me away with everything that they built out in that tag match. I've talked about it on Twitter a lot of just, this is how you do Can You Coexist tag story angles, because they're too smart to let it cost them the victory, but they don't like where each other are at, but they're going to work together to get it done. So there's just so many brilliant flavors in that. That is like a textbook example of how you should do a Can They Coexist angle without making your teams look stupid, which we unfortunately see a lot. So I'm with you. I want that TV title for TV title matchup. Great stuff here to open us up. Kind of made the rest of the show go like this a little bit, but that's all right. We still got to see it, which was great. I do think the ZSJ 12th title defense, my God, like what can we even say about this reign? It's been fantastic. What it's done for this chapter of his career, what it's done for the overarching stories with like Jeff Cobb, what it did from a match by match moment, move by move moment with this guy and establishing this title, the first ever New Japan television champion. Much better wrestler than this belt looks, I gotta say. Really good stuff. I can't argue if you call him wrestler of the year in your book.
Like I said, the most consistent guy this year, because like you said, Will Ospreay is probably the biggest person who will probably compete with him as far as like in-ring quality, but Will had 2 months off because of that injury in March. So that's why I give Zach, I'll say he's been the most consistent the most consistent. And like you said, the story with Jeff Cobb, that was great. His story, I feel like his matches with Shoto Amino took Shooter to a next level where he's been really showing that he's improved against Kazuchika Okada in that feud. So yeah, he's done so much great work up and down. And this is how you make a new title. Whoever beats Zack Sabre Jr. for this title is gonna be a made man. And that's what great about, I think, AEW and New Japan. The best two things they've done in 2023 is show the world how to make new championships, with the NJPW World Television Championship with Zack Sabre Jr. and with the international title with Orange Cassidy.
I agree. And I say it all the time that when New Japan is doing what it does best, it's its own best recruitment tool. I think it is incredible how many different types of stories we've gotten to see Zack Sabre Jr. tell, especially with a time limit draw belt. Like, the diversity of the stories that he tells every time he's out there is truly, truly incredible. And tonight was super fun. We knew it was going to be Metalik. We're spending all this time on ZSJ. He's fantastic. Metalik, not exactly a slouch either. One of the top luchadors in the world. We get to see a lot of great lucha wrestling on ROH and AEW, obviously, but Metalik, even in that elite tier, I think is at the top of that elite tier. Like, he's just really, really skilled, and he is so in control of his lucha style that I always feel like all the stories with him are a little bit more cohesive than we can kind of see with a lot of luchadors, where I feel like we can get moves for moves' sake sometimes. Not with Metalik. He knows exactly how he's utilizing those moves to put together a more cohesive match. Throw him in there with a Tekker. You got magic. You got magic. So good stuff. There's a reason we spent the majority of that talking about this, this match, because we don't have a lot more to say, but we do have more super chats and humper chats that came in from you guys. Thank you so much. Matthew Plus just reiterating how great I look. He definitely didn't send in an insult as I predicted, but just really telling me that I'm basically the most beautiful woman in podcasting. So thank you so much for the compliments here. Really appreciate it. Now here's what I call a swing and a miss. Why was this a squash? Why do you have Josh Woods and John Walters in a squash? I don't like that. Josh Woods coming out with Smart Mark Sterling again for some reason. Don't like that either. Always looks great in the ring. Don't get me wrong. We get Woods locking in a standing scorpion, which is just so nasty. I absolutely adore that. But at the same token, this guy is like showing out every week. He's moving up the Pure Division card. He's going to face Shibata, obviously, again. Like, I'm sure it's because of the taping schedule, but like, tape another week and do this. Like, why are we having Josh Woods not show out? Putting Josh Woods in a ring and not having him show out is like, I don't know. I can't think of a compare. Like, if you go to your favorite restaurant and they're like, here's this amazing dish and it's one bite. Like, it just feels so unfair. When I saw this on the card, I was like, all right, we're getting ZSJ, we're getting Josh Woods. This is a Kate episode. And then they were like, it is 2 minutes long. Why? And why are we back with Smart Mark? I'm going to real quick recap the backstage that we get, which I think was actually a pretty good backstage. And then I'll let you talk about both things here, SP3. But Josh Woods, basically back there with Smart Mark, and Smart Mark says, hey, you asked for something different, and I gave you something different. I found all this talent. You faced your former mentor and beat him. I actually like this from Smart Mark. It's way more grounded than he usually is, but I just don't understand why we're giving Josh Woods a manager. Like, I've heard his promos. He's perfectly fine, and you don't really need to be a good promo in the Pure Division, especially. It makes no sense. His in-ring storytelling is so great. I just don't understand why we're pairing him with Smart Mark of all people. It just doesn't make any sense to me, especially when we had like this amicable split. Now I guess we're revisiting it.
Well, basically, it's more. It sounds like it's still Smart Mark is trying to convince Woods that his right role is to be with him, and he's going to get him back to the Pure Championship, back to a match with Shibata, and then we'll see if he wins. Maybe that's him and Smart Mark are on good ground, and they'll be good from here on out. They won't tease anything going further. If he loses, maybe we get the official split of everything. But right now, it does feel like they are building Josh Woods for that championship matchup Whereas the first time he got the match with Shibata, he won one match and then they just gave him a match with Shibata. Like that's what it was basically, because he won the one match on the 0 hour pre-show for Death Before Dishonor, one match where Shibata was the judge for the pure matchup, and then he just challenged him. So it was no build-up. This actually feels like they have a story that they're trying to tell, and that's why it's one of my more favorite things of the show, because it's actual direction, which seems like a rarity on this show. So I was just like, okay, I'm here for it. I've liked Josh Woods since the first Ring of Honor run, especially his tag team with Silas Young. Loved that and how they were able to like establish him there. And I've loved his work, you know, him winning the pure championship from Jonathan Gresham, ending Gresham's great run and stuff like that. So I've liked Josh Woods, and I'm willing to see where they go here. I do agree with you. When you have someone like John Walters, who's like a pure pioneer for Ring of Honor, you have to give them at least 5 minutes. Like, what type of pyramid? I didn't even know. Did they even say who the judges were? Was this even a pure match?
Oh my God, I don't think it was. Because it doesn't say, normally I put that in my notes. I don't think this was a pure match. Maybe they'll run it back. That could be something cool to do. It better not have been, because I get really annoyed when they do pure matches and then none of the rules come into play. I'm like, well, why is it stipulated as such then? It makes no sense. So I'm with you on that. I think Josh Woods has been one of the best breakout things. I think a lot of people are finding out what he can do. His like finishing sequence when he does the Lockwoods into the Chaos Theory is like one of my favorite sequences that you can kind of put together. I just feel like of all things, the pure division is the thing that is its own story. Like if he was just even in regular competition, if he was just going after the world or the TV title, you can kind of see it more with Smart Mark. But like, that's what's so great about the pure division is it is the story. The rules are the story. The in-ring's the story. So not so into that, but I'm into nice comments like this. Okay. I'm into nice comments that say, if you're here live in the chat, remember to like the video and tell Kate she's pretty. You can do that after. You can tell me I'm pretty whatever you want, like truly. But if you're going to do that, we prefer you send in money to tell me I'm pretty. It's just preferred. And also then when people are mean to me on the internet, I'm like, people literally send in money to tell me how pretty I am. Like there's nothing that you can say that's going to like make me shakeable in any way, shape or form. So do that so that I can be telling the truth when I tell people that. But it's just a nice flex. It's a nice flex I get to have in my back pocket. But
look at Kate letting other people's negative words fly off her like a real world champion.
Here's the thing, SP. The dumb comments never come from anybody who have any quality to them whatsoever. It's always from weird people that are jealous. And they should be, because you know what my job is? I get paid to talk about wrestling at the biggest wrestling media platform in the world. You should be jealous of me. It's ridiculous that I get paid to do this. Don't tell Sean that. Tell him to double my pay. But
I agree. I said it on Twitter. Kate's too good for this community. We're lucky to have her.
Thank you. But I'm just saying, like, there's nothing you can say. I get paid to talk about wrestling. Like, what are you going to say to me? Please. Say whatever you want, because I don't care. I get paid to talk about wrestling. We got backstage with Lexi Nair, and boy, oh boy, do I not like what they're doing with Cole Karter and Maria Kanellis. What the effing S? We got Lexi Nair asking Karter what he said to Griff Garrison last week. Karter said that Kanellis wanted to give Garrison an opportunity, with Maria Kanellis saying that it would be good for Karter and Garrison to team up. I disagree, Maria Kanellis. And Cole Karter, who has a crush on Maria Kanellis, duh, that makes sense. If you're a living, breathing human being, I don't understand how you don't, okay? I'm a straight woman, and I would marry her tomorrow. My God, okay? Respectfully. But, like, no to all of this.
Like, also,
he's like,
no.
Escort me to the ring. I'm cool guy. Like, first of all, you're not cool guy. Whatever archetype they're trying to have you fit into, this ain't it. Like, no. Also, no. Like, no to Cougar Maria Kanellis recruiter gal. Like, I don't like that at all. Especially when, like, the whole world knows she's married to Mike Bennett. So it was already in the stable. It's just very... It's a no for me. Simon Cowell, it's a no for me. Like, There's nothing I like about this. And I also haven't seen, I hate doing this week over week because I truly feel like Cole Karter is going to be great someday. Like, he's a young, growing talent. He's finding his footing. I don't like to criticize people in a blanket way, but I don't think he's found what makes him great yet. I think he's still finding it. And so for Maria to be looking at him and be like, that guy has it, and I need him to join my stable, doesn't feel like a fit. Now, in reality, that's something that should work, right? Like, if you're with a manager, they can pull the best out of you. I think we're still a little behind that curve. Like, you have to be a little bit closer to that side of things for that to work. You know what I mean? So I just feel like this is a miss on both sides, but it feels very cringy to me to have this Cole Karter hitting on Maria Kanellis puppy dog thing. Any thoughts on this backstage? That was also poorly edited, to the point where Lexi Nair was like, yeah, that was a good one. It was good stuff. 12 days. Couldn't edit it out. Your thoughts?
I mean, I like the fact with AEW, you can kind of see certain people and who they're studying. Like, you could see that MJF watches a lot of like Roddy Piper stuff. And you can even notice, like nowadays, now that he's a babyface, he's probably watching 1992 Roddy Piper. I noticed that. I noticed that about him as well.
100%.
Eddie Kingston, he's basically just the New York version of Jun Kasai. Like, that's all he really. That's all he really is.
He's like, go watch Kawada. Go.
Kawada, Jun Kasai in his head.
Go watch all the Four Pillars of Heaven right now. Yeah.
That's his head canon right there. Moxley, you can see a little bit of like your Austin, your Terry Funks with him. With Cole Karter, I feel like he's watching 2019 Austin Theory.
That's what Red
Like, says. I think that's the person he's studying. He's studying
every week.
He studies NXT Austin Theory, and he's like, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's my thing. Yeah, this is gonna work for me, and it's not. He says, when you are...
You and Red are never getting on the same stream again, because everything that we said nice about Zack Sabre Jr., you two are just going to say mean about Cole Karter, so that's never happening again. You're never subbing in for me.
like seriously though, this man is a dollar value Austin Theory. Like, he is. He's trying to do Austin Theory's act, but he's really bad at it.
I don't think Austin Theory's even good at it anymore.
No, at least Theory, he's playing himself. He's playing himself, trying, and he's failing. But this man is trying to try out something of someone that already failed at it.
And he's failing.
It does not make any sense why this is going on, but the character just screams Theory. It's even worse. It screams Sean Stasiak. It screams meat. Oh, he is meat, and Maria is PMS. I mean, that's all I saw during that segment. I was just like, Jesus. I thought he had potential too until I saw that promo. Shoo.
Yeah, it's not great. He does defeat Justin Jackson. We can talk about this match. Another squash, which is also frustrating. He hits the Eye of the Beholder DDT looking thing for the win. I don't know if it has a real name. Looks like a variant of that of some sort. But I
think commentary said it's the Eye of the Beholder is the name of it.
That is the name of it. Okay. Yeah. It's a DDT. It works. Hoping they find something else with him. I don't like coming on here and doing that, but like realistically, that's what's kind of weird about ROH, right? Is we have some of the best wrestlers in the whole wide world, and then we have people that this is going to be developmental for. So you're going to get kind of like both ends of where people are at. So, yeah, I learned today that you and Reg are not allowed to review Cole Karter matches together. Separate is fine, but
you know who it also reminds me of? 2016 Kona Reeves.
That I definitely see. And by the way, it's not you, it's what you would bring out of Reg. So I can't allow that. I can't even control Reg with this.
It's a great time with me and Reg.
No, it is. It is. Actually, the only ROH stream that I missed since the reboot and we started doing these was you filling in for me because I was at my cousin's wedding. So thank you for doing that. That was awesome to watch. I appreciated it. But Albert Pont saying Josh Woods continuing to go after the pure title and Maria recruiting young talent were a few bright spots that featured ongoing storylines. Yes. So even though I don't like the story, there are a few things that I do like, which is I trust Maria Kanellis very much. She has proven time and time again how valuable she is. She has a great mind for this business. She always plays her role very, very well on screen. So that much I trust, even if I don't like this cougar-esque aspect to it. It's not for me, but I trust her. And I do appreciate that they're investing in someone and they're putting the work in to tell some stories. Now, the bar should not be that low that this is a bright spot, but this was also an off-kilter episode, right? So we do what we can, but we get something that I very much liked, but I'm still a little confused by, but I very much liked it. Lee Moriarty and the Workhorsemen, Anthony Henry and JD Drake, defeating who?
Beef!
There it is!
Beef!
Beef, Invictus Cash and Lord Crew. My God. This ends with the Workhorsemen getting the win with a foot stomp from Henry and a moonsault from Drake, who I don't even know how that guy does that. But a spot in here that I really liked was that blind tag DDT spot with JD Drake too. I love it. I love the Workhorsemen, man. I really do. And I love Lee Moriarty. I'm confused by this trio. I feel like Lee Moriarty is the perfect person to be working either title adjacent or in that like TV title area until you're ready to give him a full title shot. And the Workhorsemen to me just, they scream NWA 80s old school ass kickers. Now the offset is great because they're so different stylistically that when you fold that all into a trio, your opponents have no idea how to prepare for you because you're facing Anthony Henry, who's like just this strong, strapping fit dude, JD Drake, who should not move as well for the size that he is, like unbelievably explosive. Those chops, I can feel them from here. My God. And then you have Lee Moriarty, who's like one of the most acrobatic, athletic dudes I've ever seen with an incredibly strong fundamental ground base for professional wrestling. So that is a trio I like, but just like the presentation wise, I don't know if you can make it gel. And quite frankly, I really want a Workhorsemen versus FTR match. Just put me back in 1984 NWA, please. Like, I am dying for that. I was rooting for the Workhorsemen to be on my screen for a long time. I'm glad they're at least on this screen. But like, if you need an in-between pay-per-view tag program, my God, give me FTR in this, please. Like, they're so great. They're working the same circuit because they're both on Collision. Like, it's screaming for it. It's screaming for it. So they're just so both teams in that are such like a moment in time. I just need to see it. But this match was a whole bunch of fun. Beef even got beef chance. You can't complain about that, right? But this was one of the stronger things on the show to me, even though there's not a story here. I thought it was a great 6-man SP3.
Yeah, I thought it was solid work from everybody involved. I thought Beef was gonna do a 450. When he was standing on the ropes, when he did like this, I was like, yo, is this man about to do a 450? This would be the greatest moment in Ring of Honor history if he did a beefy 450. I want to say I'm a huge fan of the Workhorsemen. It's not just because Anthony Henry is very talented, he's hard-hitting, he's technical based. JD Drake, I've never seen a wrestler who sometimes in one match will make me think that he's like a second cousin of Gunther, and then in another instant when he's doing the no laughing matter, I'm like, did Hugh Morris have a baby that's more athletic than him? Like, it's like that. I love these guys, but most of all, I love the fact that they know once you go black, you never go back. They went from Shane Taylor to Lee Moriarty. We need the dream trio of Darius Martin and the Workhorsemen, because they are three people that always seem to be teamed up with black people. So I love them. I want them paired together. Darius Martin can never be in any tag team or trio unless it's with light-skinned people, and the Workhorsemen can only team up with black people. So pair them together.
Token from South Park is gonna walk right into this picture. I swear to God. It's just Top Flight and another black guy every single time.
It's not Token, it's Tolkien. Tolkien.
Of
He's
course.
named after J.R. Tolkien.
Of course. What was I saying? My God. But really, really good stuff here. I like this. I don't hate the trio. I just don't know how we meld it together. And I also don't know if this is like sticking around in that sense. So I want them to. I really just want clarity in my Ring of Honor SP3. And I don't think it's too much to ask for. But I'll tell you what.
I feel bad for everybody that was in the firm. Am I the only one? Because everybody that was in the firm just seemed. We got Stokely Hathaway behind a paywall. He should be on Dynamite every week. We got Lee Moriarty trying to find random tag team partners when it seemed like he was going to be with Big Bill after the firm broke up. But then Big Bill was randomly drawn into a tag team with Brian Cage. But now he's not teaming with Brian Cage because Brian Cage is in Mogul Embassy. So what's Lee Moriarty doing? What's Big Bill doing? I'm so confused. Why did they break up the firm? It was a team that did not match together, but it worked.
I don't know where Ethan Page is right now. I don't like to, when people are off screen too, I try not to speculate because not everybody's health issues are for us. Not everybody's personal issues are for us. So I don't want to ever judge in that way. But if he is healthy and he is cleared and he is ready to work, I don't know what you're not doing with Ethan Page. Kind of blows my mind. Like him and Wardlow, I'm so confused. I agree with you on Stokely. I like the role he's playing. Obviously, an in-ring legend we saw with Samoa Joe, but to me, he's the best manager in wrestling, and I don't know why he's not being utilized. I said for a long time, like Stokely and Will Hobbs to me could be like modern day Gary Hart stuff, and Gary Hart to me is like probably the most underrated manager and one of my favorites. Like that guy was just the best. Like that feels like that kind of duo that you could have that type of run with. So I'm not sure, man. I don't know what happened with the firm, but they're gone. There they are. They did officially break up, but like, let's reorganize the pieces.
You know, just give them a role that I could be confident in. But I love that shout, Kate, of Powerhouse Hobbs with Stokely Hathaway. I would think more of it's like this generation's Teddy Long with Butch Reed. Like that's what that feels like. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I dig it. And I dig super chats and humper chats. Please feel free to send in super chats and humper chats if you want to get your question or statement read on air. We'll also take a brief moment to remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. We're plug heavy because we had an extra half hour to talk about an hour less of show that we filmed earlier at the beginning of this broadcast. So feel free to go back and watch our thoughts kind of on the ROH content that's leading to All Out, some of the implications from All In that came back the other way, just our overall thoughts on the product too, of certain pain points, things that we think were being done a little bit more completely earlier in the ROH reboot. We'd have some general talk, but after SP3 and I, we've got your Impact post show coming in on the back end here. SANADA working there. So we got your TV champion over here. You got your world champion working Impact alongside Jake something. Good stuff. Love seeing the New Japan talent make its imprint on American television. American television is better for it, quite frankly. So Cresta and Joel will be guiding you through that. Impact's had a lot going on themselves. You had Deanna and Trinity main eventing. I got to go to the Impact Multiverse show that was in Philly. That was fantastic too. That women's four-way was unbelievable. Really cool stuff happening. If you don't get to see Julia live, you're going to regret it. That woman is... There's some wrestlers, man, when you see them live, it's just a different experience. She's got that, whatever that live thing is, she's full of it.
Yeah.
But like extra whatever.
And all those top stars in Stardom have that, because I was at the GCW event in New York when Yutami Hayashita was there, and that's what, like, that just felt like the aura, like, boss is here. The boss just showed up. Like, that's what it is. And I was regretting that I didn't make that trip to Philly to see Julia live. I need to do that in my life.
You could have come and hung out with me.
I know. You didn't tell me. I didn't find out until, you already left. So, I'm just a New York, I could have got on Megabus, but that's a 4-hour ride by myself.
No. I'll pick you up, dude. I'm not making you take a Megabus to Philly. It's bad enough we have to go to Philly already. My God. But
This is true, but that's what I used to do with those Ring of Honor shows. Like,
okay, but now we're grown-ups, okay? And I can pick you up in Secaucus. We're not doing that, all right? But I'll tell you what we are doing. We're going to talk some Emi Sakura defeating Alice Crowley. Nice to see Emi here. I did feel like it was a little weird that Saraya got We Will Rock You at Wembley when it's kind of like an Emi thing. So it was kind of fun to see her getting the claps on today, but a really, really strong match. What do you say? She's an in-ring legend. She wins with the Imperial Backbreaker here against Alice Crowley, who looked good in this too. She did. But this was an Emi showcase. I wish she was sticking around the division. I'm assuming this was just a who's in the back kind of episode altogether. So I don't know if we should expect to see more from her. It might have been a response to a lot of people being bummed that she wasn't at All In. I don't know. But I'm always happy to see Emi Sakura on our screen. Commentary, I gotta say, like, these episodes, I mean, this one was only an hour. These average to below average episodes would be unwatchable if it didn't have Capri City in. Like, it would be so much more of a chore if you didn't have the best commentary team putting full effort into their job behind all of this, because they make everything feel so important, including, like, all of the legendary status of Emi Sakura in this came through. They talked about her training Shida. They talked about her contributions to wrestling so beautifully and so, like, reverently. Just really, really nice to see. And they really just are the best soundtrack that you can have. Like, those guys make these more chaotic episodes so much more fluid just by being great at their jobs. So good stuff here. Any thoughts on Emi Sakura and Alice Crowley?
I feel like Emi Sakura pulled up on Tony Khan and Gorilla when she heard Saraya come out to Queen, We Will Rock You, and just looked at him like, really? And Tony was like, you're booked on Wednesday. You're booked on Thursday. We're booking you all week. You'll be on TV all week. Don't worry, Emi. I'm sorry. And now we got Emi Sakura on Wednesday Night Dynamite. We had her here on Thursday getting a quick win. I'm glad to see Emi. She's always been one of my favorites from this AEW women's division since the very beginning. Go back and watch that Full Gear 2019 matchup with her and Riho. I still go back and watch that. That's a low-key banger because not a lot of people was talking about it at the time, but it still hits well. So Emi Sakura and her matchup with Jamie Hayter this year is one of the best women's matches.
So good.
Period.
So
that I've seen all year. So Emi Sakura deserves more opportunities. I want to see her in there more and just let her work programs. Like, we got Drippy in the chat who's saying her and Trisha Dora, her and Billy Starks, her and Sky Blue. Like, work some programs with these younger ladies that you are trying to get up, because the resume of great women that she has trained, it seems like a no-brainer that I would have every woman I'm trying to develop against Emi Sakura.
Yeah, especially the ones that she is coaching, right? Like, I love those stories of coach or mentor versus student. Like, those always end up being really great stories when they're told well. And I love the idea of Emi and Trish, because Trish also went to the New Japan Dojo too. So they kind of have like that stylistic connection and the same holding company, right? So I really, really like that idea. I also just want to see Trish and Dora on our screen. Now, we do have to call out the fact that, like, this whole episode was very scattered, so we didn't really see anybody of super importance, but that was never more true than the women's division. And I just thought it was the funniest rib in the world that we had SP3 coming in clutch, filling in at the last minute here, and we don't get Athena, the fallen goddess.
Does Tony Khan realize Athena waits for my tweet every Thursday? Every Thursday.
It's her
you
birthday.
Will see the same tweet from me, and this would have been a happy birthday tweet as well. Oh my god! Every Thursday, I put one tweet out consistently the same. Your fallen goddess and our Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena is on our TV screens. Praise her. Stand up, minions. Every single week, same thing. Would have added the happy birthday at the end. And I'm on here. I'm watching the show.
You're on here today.
No Athena on her birthday. We couldn't even get a pre-tape promo, Kate.
I just need her. I just need her around. She doesn't even have to say anything. She just needs to come in, forearm somebody, and leave. That's all I need.
I just wanted to talk to Lexi, your bestie. I just want to
They're
talk.
best friends.
Yeah,
okay?
they're best friends.
And maybe
She
her
gets
and
her,
Billy Starks are. We don't really know.
she
But
gets her sour apple, green apple Skittles all the time.
that's
What I
right.
heard. Yeah.
That's some bestie stuff, if I ever heard it. And we talked about ZSJ's title reign. We talked about Orange Cassidy's title reign. Athena's is right there, man, of the most productive title reigns in wrestling. The three of them and Gunther and WWE, they are the title reigns that have been the difference makers. Roman Reigns is, I get it. If you like cinema, I like frequent title defenses more than I like cinema. I like that titles can get used in all these ways realistically. I actually think that's a very, very cool thing is that you have such a range of it. But like when you think of MVP most valuable title reigns, Athena's comes right to mind because it has been not only the anchor of the women's division, but the anchor of the show. I'm really excited to see these pieces starting to fill in with Diamante and Layla Hirsch, and Kiera Hogan had some really good storytelling, and Trisha Dora is going to be back on track. Billy Starks, obviously. So it's kind of feeling like we're getting so much more forming around it, but like what a lost product entirely without Athena showing up every single week. If she is not on All In, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to complain about it on the internet.
Do it. I'm going to start an Athena chant in the building at United Center. Going to start an Athena chant because she should be on the card. I know Billy Starks is apparently injured and they're waiting to see if she cleared, but please add it to 0 Hour. Just please. Just please. Give her something.
I'll tell you what, we need more than 14 minutes of women's wrestling per 6 hours because that's what we got at Wembley. I had 2 very simple requests. Okay, multiple women's matches, ZSJ. Rest of the card's perfect. Rest of the card's perfect. You had a 2 hour 0 hour. You had 0 hours. Okay.
You had 0 matches in that first 0 hour.
My goodness. We do get some love coming in from Greg Cherry, who is just the best. If you're not following Greg Cherry online, recommend you do and check out his content. He's so wonderful and so supportive in our space. But he sent in a chat just saying, show love for women's wrestling. Also, good to see 2 of my favorite people in this space doing a show together. Well, thank you, Greg. He's the best.
Thank you, Greg. You're awesome.
I'm very lucky to be surrounded by like a lot of really good dudes in the space. I was thinking about that yesterday. Like for all the dickheads that are out there, and there are. My circle's got some really great fellas in it. I'm very, very lucky that I get to feel extremely wonderful and safe with the people I work with at Fightful, outside of Fightful. I got Luis moderating, keeping me safe so that all of Matthew Troll's tweets coming in. I said Matthew Trolls, but it's Matthew Plus who's trolling. I changed his name to something more accurate and better, okay? I do what I want with those tweets because Luis is the GOAT. So thank you to the kind fellas. Thanks for supporting women's wrestling with your chat. We throw support right back at you. We adore you. Are we trying to make the SAP a thing? Because what are we doing here?
I was like, yo, I thought I was seeing double. This was Jobber Inception. Oh my god. I was like, yo, it's the SAP versus Team Ziggy Dice, the Outrunners. Oh man, this is crazy. It's like they put Ziggy Dice in the Urkel transformation chamber, but it was the clone one by accident, and it came out with 2 other ones, and the Outrunners is just like, we here, Bruce Lee, Urkel, and
my god. Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd are their names, the Outrunners. Ziggy Dice is a good shout. These guys feel like they walked out of the 80s. Super, super fun.
No, I really like them. I love them. I love them.
You're not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong that Ziggy Dice might have cloned himself and they both stepped into the Urkelnator. You're not wrong. Neither of these guys are like Stefan, though, I gotta say. Didn't like do the flippity flop, but
that's true.
Here's what I do like. I love the finish. I love Angelico's hammerlock leg crab, whatever that was awesome. Very, very cool. I think Angelico's great, actually, and I don't really understand why he's with the rest of the SAP. Are they trying to make him and Serpentico a thing, or is this just a fun one-off? I actually thought the match was really fun, but neither of these teams are in the ROH tag team division, and when they are, both teams are just taking pins all the time. So What the hell, man?
I was just sitting there after I got over the jobber inception of it all. I was just like, man, I remember when Angelico was like one of the breakout stars of Lucha Underground when he jumped off the house that little office in that place and won the trios titles with Son of Havoc and Evilise. I still remember that. That's one of the vivid memories I have from Lucha Underground. And I
There's a
remember
lot of vivid memories of Lucha Underground. That project was dramatic.
and Angelico, I remember him and Jack Evans in the early part of AEW with TH2. So I was just like, when he's here in this position, I'm just like, man, he deserves better. He deserves better than this. He can be having great Tekker matches with Zack Sabre Jr. You could put him out there. He can have a high flying match with Ray Phoenix. Like, do something more with him. He doesn't need to be with Serpentico and the SAP, but hey, if they're gonna do something with this, and this win tonight is the start of something, maybe position them as a potential challenger for tag team gold. I don't know. But if we're going somewhere, if this is the start of it, I'm here for it because I do think Serpentico and Angelico are talented. But I did feel like the Outrunners should have won this one because the Outrunners feel more like a tag team that we can do something with in the future. And the Outrunners versus Better Than You, baby. Book it. Book it. Come on.
Touche. Our moderator Luis saying that Outrunners reminds him of blonde clones of Johnny Swinger, which is a good call. That's a good shout. I actually agree with you on that. Outrunners probably should have won this because they feel like a contending team that took some losses, where Serpentico feels like that is the joke, right? Like when he's in there with Luther, he literally gets heaved at people. Like, doesn't feel like they're contenders, which is why I don't understand why Jack Evans is kind of like Angelico's kind of with them. Because it feels like there is a pretty high ceiling for that guy if you let him work. So I'm with you. I don't have any faith that any of that is going anywhere. This whole episode was lost in the mud, but we do get Marina Shafir defeating Angelica or Angelica Risk, depending on which commentator you listen to. My apologies to her for whichever one of those pronunciations was wrong. Ian said it differently than the ring announcer. My bad. I don't like to define women by their husbands, SP3, but we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the perseverance of Marina Shafir to go out there knowing, it was on her mind. There's no way that Roddy Strong's neck health is not on her mind, because someone's got to care about his neck health in this world, SP3. And we know it's not Adam Cole. We know his friends Mike and Matt care. But like, Marina Shafir has got to be distracted. I was very impressed by her performance for a lot of reasons. But knowing she was able to get this win, when the whole time she's walking down there, she's taking off her socks to get ready to throw in the crowd, she's just like, my husband's neck health. My poor husband's neck. He has to wear his neck brace in the shower. But when he's sleeping, weddings, funerals, he's got to wear that neck brace. So just kudos to her for being a professional in the face of this adversity. I said this before, if you're going to throw your socks into the crowd, if you're going to unveil your feet, you can be charging money for that, Marina Shafir. There's people that will pay you very well. So I would just recommend cashing in if you're going to do that. But this was an encouraging match to see, sincerely. She wins with the triangle choke. She's still putting the pieces of this stuff together a little bit, I think, but because of the style and because of her presentation and the violent athlete that's in there, when you do see these things come together, it's really rewarding. Like, it's going to pay off, I think, pretty mightily as we see her continue to progress. She needs reps. These women need reps, and ROH is a great place to go get them. Shame on the editing team for not editing out some of the chants and turning the volume down with the Ronda Rousey chant shit. Like, that really bothered me. But I mean, it's justifiable to leave like trolling chants in, but just felt like a swing and a miss on their part with this match and how vulnerable the division is already. So I thought this was pretty good. I thought Angelica Risk looked good in this too, but I like her winning with the triangle choke. I like her leaning into this style. More and more progress as the road goes on for her. What were your thoughts here?
I've really been liking Marina Shafir ever since I saw her in Bloodsport. I feel like that type of style fits her so well, and she comes off so much better than she did in WWE or even what she does in AEW. But this is one of the rare times where I thought she looked really good. She looked dominant. The fact that her triangle choke had a wrist with her knee on her chin, basically.
Yes.
That was just great. I was loving that visual. And I was thinking she probably does that to help, the rehab of Roddy. Like that's probably how she
you're right.
helps
That's how she learned that.
the neck exercise, and now she's using it in the ring. This is how you be a productive woman, a productive mother, a productive partner, ladies and gentlemen.
She's tuned in.
Marina Shafir, that's wifey goals right there. That's wifey goals. Helping you and then using it in the ring. She's a dual threat.
She is.
And let's just say I'm pretty sure Marina Shafir told Roddy a long time ago, stop messing around with that Adam Cole. He's not a good friend. He's a bad friend that doesn't care about your neck health. Adam!
Yeah, Adam.
Adam!
What happened with my lip gloss? What happened with my iconic lip gloss? What's going on? Everyone thinks Sean does coke because he blows his nose on air. People are going to be like, what is this girl? She's a mess. She's like going like this under her nose.
She's touching her nose too much, guys.
That's right. Booger sugar all day. You know what's funny? I got a very nice complimentary tweet about my lip gloss. Someone was like, oh my God, iconic. And I was like, gotta be honest, it's just like the only one I have left. I don't have any other colors right now. Haven't been to Ulta in a while. Not like trying to make a trademark. I just have one other lipstick and it doesn't look great on camera. So that's what it is. But good stuff here. You are right.
Case like this just regular me.
This is just like my day to night look. You know what I mean? It's like my nice little like transition from sitting in front of a computer working to sitting in front of a computer talking about wrestling. It's just like freshen it up.
Levels to this. There's levels.
There is very encouraging stuff out of Marina Shafir for real though. We do love to see this. Like there's been a lot of progress here, and I like her using the triangle choke. Like I like what Danielson does too, and I feel like she can develop into a wrestler that has multiple finishers like that. And I love when wrestlers do, because it makes every pinfall more exciting, because if you just have your one go home move, we know that the end of the match is coming. But if you have like 5 of them, the end of the match could be coming at any time. So I like it when people have an arsenal of weapons. I think she could really get there and develop that. But encouraging stuff from her tonight. Well, it's time for our main event. If you believe the main event wasn't kicked off the show, I guess. Your ROH 6-man tag team match. Brian Cage is here for this one, which is nice. You got the Mogul Embassy with Bishop Kaun and Toa Liona, who are great. And, of course, Prince Nana. Okay? I like techers and I like dancers. I got both tonight. I'm a very happy camper. That's why I love Daniel Garcia so much. I like get both in one guy. It's incredible. But we get Prince Nana with these guys. Good stuff. And they take on Top Flight with another black guy, as we talked about before. Action
Team Light Skin. Team Light Skin. Let's go.
I feel like I can call it out to an extent. You can call it out proper. Okay, I can say some things. I'm gonna skirt the others. Hey, you can say whatever you need to say.
We all got our roles. I would roll with Kate anywhere because she got the complexion for the protection. And I'm here to point out Team Light Skin was in the main event.
You and Reg really got to do more shows together between your Austin Theory, Cole Karter comparisons, and both of you being like, it's just another light skin guy in this mix. That's what, when Action Andretti came into the picture, Reg was like, did they just take someone who was like, oh, he kind of looks like Darius? And now this has just become a thing. Like, it's a running gag week over week.
They went around to every light-skinned black person like, is your mom white? Okay, we got to move on to the next one. Is your dad white?
The way you moved on, I'm dead. God. Oh my God.
Gotta move on. You, Lee Johnson, like.
Oh, Lee Johnson? That sounds very white.
Ooh, okay. Oh, you got a white girlfriend? Come on down. Come on down. and then Action and Darius met him, and it was like, Man, we've been hanging out with this guy that looked like a drug dealer named AR Fox. You're perfect. You fit right in. Come on.
My God. I don't want to talk about the match. That was too funny. What are we going to say about this match that was better than everything you just said? It's beautiful.
During this match.
That's it. What are you going to... There's no build to this. There was kind of a build to this. I shouldn't say there was no build. There's kind of a build. But most of the time we see Kaun and Liona, we don't even get to see Brian Cage. They've been wrestling tag matches for the most part. So nice to see Brian Cage back in the mix here. They got I think they figured out what they want to do with him. Yeah, they have to figure out where he's doing it and how, because he's kind of splitting time between both programs. You can get away with it because it's the same faction, right? This is the Mogul Embassy. But they also, I think, felt like him and Big Bill were doing some really fun stuff. So let's see where he's going to land on the chessboard, because some consistency with that would be nice. We got to build to these 6-man belts because they're not doing anything with them. Let's make them feel important. They should at least feel more important than a New Japan title on your own show. I'll put it that way. Like, when you have one of the best luchadors in the world and the best technical wrestler in the world, that's going to be hard to beat on any given night. But like, from a title importance perspective, it shouldn't feel like the New Japan TV title is a more ROH based title than your own 6-man title. That's not good. So, but this match was perfectly suitable. This was fine. It didn't feel like a main event to me, but Kaun and Liona getting back involved in this. They isolate Johnson and they beat him with that pendulum powerbomb that always looks great. These guys are great. Like, they're very explosive. They're very, very crisp offense for dudes of their size. Like, I really like to see it. Really, really good stuff, but aimless, like very much meandering and kind of wandering here, but a good enough main event. I just feel like this card, if you literally reverse the card, I think it would have been in a better shape. Yeah.
We would be looking at this card totally different if they just flipped everything around. If they opened the show with this, we would just be like, okay, good matchup with the Mogul Embassy. They get another reign under their belt. Brian Cage moves to 21 straight wins on Ring of Honor television. Gates of Agony moved to 19 straight wins. Decent enough job. Let's move on. But the fact that this is the main event, I'm just left with the fact, like, they are not building anyone for this team, because the only trio they built up is nowhere near them. So we're just going to keep getting these Challenger of the Month. I feel like their last two was against Team Lightskin. The last two defenses were against Team Lightskin, basically in different forms. Another light-skinned dude with Action Flight. That's all they keep doing. That's what they keep doing. Yeah, I don't call them top
they should
flight.
be called
Action
They
Flight.
should be called Flight Camera Action.
That's dope.
That's so good at this. Damn it.
Flight camera action
is so good.
My God. Shit, just have Lee Johnson just start coming out with the camera and stuff. If that'd be his new gimmick. He's just Alex Shelley from the Paparazzi Productions.
I was just gonna say. Or you could have him like as a cameraman gimmick. Like, he's just always one of the hidden cameramen, but nobody ever picks up on it. I'm in.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But in a vacuum, this was a decent enough matchup. But coming out of it, I'm just like, okay, what did we accomplish here?
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole episode. Like, it's just very clearly thrown off by the Collision taping schedule going into Wembley, of course. But we're going to flip it over to your Impact post-show pretty soon. I'm very excited to see what they have to say, because they got to see SANADA on their show. So very fun stuff. They had a great past couple of weeks, honestly. Impact is doing some good work, and I am excited to turn it over to them. But before we do...
Even though SANADA's a fraud, he's not the real champion. It's Kazuka Okada. He's still my champion. SANADA can't even beat Evil. Come on.
Well, he can't be Evil because Evil is 47 people every time that he's out there.
Also true.
He's like, I have handcuffs and 80 guys to come after you. No, SANADA has 5, so there's that. But...
Evil Dick has gotten the better of plenty of women, and it got the better of SANADA.
Wow. Don't I know that? What? We're gonna bring on Cresta and Joel for your Impact review. I don't think there's a better note that I could end on, so let's bring on Joel and Cresta. Oh my goodness.
What was that?
What?
I'm so glad you didn't cut to me because the scream I scrumped about evil dick.
She gets it. She gets it.
We've been having a good time here.
Hey, look, it wasn't the best episode of ROH. We had to create our own fun. We got some fun jokes at the end there.
We figured out how they came up with Team Light Skin. They just went to every light skinned black person backstage at AEW. Yep.
We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing over here.
All they need is Ricky Starks at this point, and that'll be the most. That's light skin Voltron at that point. I'll manage them.
He don't got a white girlfriend. They was like, you're disqualified. You don't got a white girlfriend. We got to get Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson, come on.
Wow. Yeah, you say he's not turtle enough for the Turtle Club? That's crazy.
SB3 talked about Evil Dick, and all of a sudden I think we're talking about, we thought this was an episode of FMC, and we're talking Big Blood.
We're talking, look, you came in when you came in, all right? If you missed the context, that's on you.
No,
I'm trying to control our narrative, Joel. Come on, don't be like that. No Canadian destroyers. Stop it. Knock it off.
Destroyers. Oh my God, that could be Joel's name. Joel the Canadian Destroyer. All day. He can't
Joel
work
the Hamilton Destroyer.
I'm gonna destroy Steve Macklin is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You better stop. He's back now. You better stop.
No, don't. I told the story on Overbooked. He blew right by me as I was having a conversation with Tommy Dreamer on Sunday. We're like mid-conversation, and Macklin just comes zooming by to take out Josh Alexander.
Joel, there's something behind you. Is that? I think a name that you dropped. I think you dropped a name back there.
Oh yeah.
Steve Macklin, Tommy Dreamer.
I'm just having a nice combo with
my
good friend Tommy Dreamer.
Doing his Uber Eats, and then
I'm just happy to be here.
Look, we're just happy we got here. ROH was 57 minutes long today. We had to start at 8:35.
Why bother?
Thank God it was basically a go home to All In because there's so many ROH matches on All In, so we had stuff to talk about. But God,
All In was last week.
It's all in. It's all out. It's all
our Ring of Honor All In.
I'm very excited for Ring of Honor All Out.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor All In. All Out, honor out. I don't know. There's something there. I'm gonna find it. How is Impact? Cresta, you look so beautiful today.
Yes.
Thank you. Normally I'd be upset when people say how fucking orange. Look at how fucking orange you look. But it's cute. It's real cute. It's real cute.
No, you look beautiful.
No, you look nice.
That was a RuPaul's Drag Race reference.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Raw crowd, tough crowd.
Hey, you make 90 Day Fiance references? I'm here for it. That's what
all I know is Ned No Net.
Oh yeah, Big Head. That's the dude. That's the homie. Big Ed out here in these streets.
Impact was okay. I saw Bully Ray try to pull Jedi mind tricks on PCO, but how can you pull a mind trick on a zombie? But it's Impact, so it worked. So that sums up Impact. It was a good show. It was a good show. I can't complain. Joel, how did you feel about it?
Yes, I enjoyed watching Impact for the second time in a week.
Wow. This is Joel to a T. Okay, we go to Forbidden Door and he's like, "Oh, the presser is so late. I'm so tired for Danielson Okada."
I just wanted to
get him.
I saw Impact Live and now I have to watch it again because I got to go to a show for free with my whole family.
That was not. I don't wish that upon anybody. Okay.
Wow.
All right.
You bring your mom, your dad, your brother, and your soon-to-be sister-in-law to a wrestling show, you got to know what's going to happen.
You're going to witness the murder.
Legit, I'm dying to bring my sister to a wrestling show because she is hysterical and has no idea what's going on. I'm gonna start doing prediction shows with her on my YouTube, I think, because she's just first of all, it's so annoying how often she's right about everything because we all sit here and analyze booking to a T, but at the end of the day, it's a crapshoot. And the amount of time she's like, yeah, that she just loves to break up tag teams. She's like, yeah, they're gonna break up.
That's
so
very WWE.
The other guys. And yeah, I was gonna say if I'm predicting WWE, there's like a 70-30 shot that she's right. She's really big into that, and she's just big into using words that she doesn't know what they mean. Like she just says "work shoot" all the time.
Oh, I love it. Yes,
yeah,
I love your sister already. Oh, I love.
Oh my god,
I love it.
She found out what agenting meant, and now she just says everything is agenting. She's like, I was in Target and I was agenting the other day. Like she doesn't know what anything means, but she uses all the words.
That's great.
It's the best.
That's honestly, that's what happened to my family when I kept saying everything is a work, and when I had to really explain to them. So now when I go to my mom's house, like, is this one of those things that you guys we call a work? I'm like, Mom, never say that again, please.
Don't do this to me.
You working me right now. You working me. You working my nerves right now, Jeff Jarrett. Beat it. You working me.
She also calls Aussie Open the green team, which I appreciate.
I like that. That's pretty accurate. They always wear green.
It was them versus the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks were silver, and she was like, okay, the green team. And now anytime I mention them, she's like, green team. I was like, yeah.
She going to call the Dark Order the purple team?
Well, no, because that would include Matt Taven.
Yes.
And we all know Kate don't like Matt.
I don't hate him.
What do you have against Matt Taven?
I have really no emotional reaction to Matt Taven even way. It's my thing. Like it's just kind of.
Matt Taven is a personal friend of mine because back in 2018, 2019, he gave me a shirt.
Name dropping.
He gave me a shirt at Hammerstein Ballroom in front of all the fans at Hammerstein Ballroom, and he said, if you wear this shirt, you'll get laid. And then a year later, I had gotten my girlfriend pregnant. So he was right.
I was about to say
this is very, 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 very important. Was it 9 months later or was it a year later? I need to know.
It was a year later, so she was still pregnant.
I was just wondering how strong of a manifester he was. Okay,
and he was Ring of Honor World Champion, so that night changed the both of us. So I told him, I was like, thank you for my family, and you welcome for the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Bro,
and he
was
was like,
worst.
We have an interview.
Did you swaddle your baby in a purple onesie immediately? Was it just like in a?
Oh, you just popped me! Oh, it's happening! Win purple onesies! Come on!
And one of your kids is now named Melvin.
Not Melvin.
Okay, Melvin. I will say, like I can take or leave Matt Taven. I don't have anything against him. I'm just not like overwhelmingly for him. Melvin is an 11 out of 10 insult. That is phenomenal.
Yes, when you call someone a Melvin, ooh, how do you come back from a Melvin? Because everyone knows a Melvin. Everybody knows a Melvin.
That's it.
Yep.
And if you don't know a Melvin, guess who's the Melvin?
Oh no. I am gonna go because I don't know a Melvin, but have fun with the Impact Post show.
All I'm saying is we have a Matt Taven interview sitting in the background ready to go. Okay, it's sitting behind the scenes on YouTube.
I know Cresta's hair was foreshadowing.
The purple was there.
Yeah,
I actually in Sean Ross's basement. It's his outside house. You know, he's gonna play the piano later on. So
you're staying in the pool house like you're Will Smith and Carlton in season 4 of Fresh Prince.
I'm like trying to be like Will Washington, Mr. Bill Birmingham himself.
Okay, here we are.
We're out of here. Enjoy.
Get out of here.
Not gonna get better than SP3 saying Matt Taven got like pregnant, whatever. I'm gonna go, but it was great to see you.
Don't insinuate that Matt Taven got SP3's girlfriend
pregnant. I know. I started to like think about the words I was saying, and I was like, it's time to go.
He pushed me to get my girlfriend pregnant.
Been there.
Excuse me, phrasing, sir.
He gave me a push.
No,
and then over a year later, she was given the push.
Doing a few months. Yeah, that was her.
Everybody was putting each other over.
Well, some people were getting under.
Is this a wrestling show?
I gotta go. Great to see you. I'm out. I'm
great.
sure people on the internet won't be weird about that at all.
My God, is back, baby.
Love you guys. Enjoy the Impact review.
Oh,
Leave a thumbs up on this
Enjoy.
video. Bye.
Yes.
Take care, y'all.
See
What-
you guys.
This is the best day of my life.
We are just one big problematic showcase here. SV3, you gonna stick around and talk about?
I don't know. You're supposed to kick me out. Oh yeah, Kate will be on True Hill Heat on Saturday. That's what I wanted to say.
That sounds like fun.
I'll leave the studio so you don't have to kick me out. Bye now.
Bye.
Light skinned people rock.
So only one man can say that.
You know what? When people say that Fightful is not a professional site, sometimes I believe them.
Oh no.
Sometimes, 50 people can't have the same lie, Joel.
Yeah. Anyway. What a week. What a couple of weeks. Okay. Before anyone asks, because I'm sure people are not really asking, but let's just address that before we actually cut this up for the audio friends. No, we didn't do an emergence wrap up because I went to the show on Sunday live and had a really fun time, and I have since watched some of it on TV or on Impact Insiders and realized that yes, it was very dark in the arena apparently, or in the venue. But anyway, we're not really going to talk much about it because like the show was fine. The only big thing that happened was the singular championship change that happens at every single Impact Plus event. It's either one or all 7. There's no in between with Impact. So the tag title switching side didn't really shock me. I'll put it like that, because they're not going to keep bringing subculture across the pond once a month for this. It's just that's a little expensive. So it made no difference to me, and it made perfect sense that they were doing that and having the Rascals win the tag title. So yeah, that's basically my takeaway from Emergence. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I just thought it was wild that Trinity tapped out Deonna Purrazzo twice, because that never happens. That literally popped me. There was a lot of wrestling that weekend, and I was complaining a lot about women's matches, and I got everything I needed from the last match at Emergence. I'm still kind of gooped. And also, can I get a joy?
Okay.
I can't wait to do that. I couldn't wait.
We're going to do the real show in a minute, but we walked in on that live as it debuted, and I was like, what the fuck is this? It was good. It was so much fun. We're going to talk about that. It's good to see them. They think they have a match next week, but yeah. If you want spoilers, they're on Fightful.com. I did submit them. There was one thing that did change. I'll tell you that much between now and then, but we'll talk about it when let's just get into the official stuff, shall we?
Yes, go on.
Hello, friends. We're back again. It's August 31st, 2023. I am Joel Pearl, and it's time for your Impact Wrestling post show. As always, I am here with the Collider herself. She's all in to go all out this weekend, but first, we're going to talk about Impact. Cresta stars with me. How you doing, Cresta?
I'm doing well. There's been a lot of wrestling. I'm happy to be here with you, my fairy godfather of wrestling, one Mr. Joelford Pearl.
Listen, I'm just a guy trying to get to every single wrestling show I can. Got lucky, got to go watch Impact Emergence live on Sunday, got to take in the TV tapings on Monday. Had a good time. It was good to reconnect with some friends and threaten some Impact wrestlers. Looking at you, Steve Macklin. We're not done yet, but
you're a wild boy.
Hey, listen, I know what I'm after. Sean Ross Sapp go after wrestlers, so can I.
You know what? I'm just here to watch. I'm not a worker. I'm a jobber.
Fair enough. I'm just here for everyone to leave your thumbs up here on the video. And of course, you can go ahead and subscribe to us here at Fightful. Sorry, I'm used to saying overbooked, but you can do that too. But no, at youtube.com/Fightful. Go ahead and subscribe to us there. And Fightful Overbooked. Just go there, do that. Click the sub button. And also, if you want to donate a super chat here on this video, you can go ahead. Any question, get your question or statement right on the air. But easy for me to say. And we got humperchats.com for this particular show. So Cresta, tell them how to do it and what they do.
So you're going to head over to humperchats.com. You're going to write your comment. You could be like, hey, Joel, what's the beef with Steve Macklin? Or, hey, Cresta, tell me what your favorite thing about PCO is. Any dollar amount you put in. Sorry, my brain just blue screened.
See?
Any dollar amount you put in, we'll get your comment read on air, and we get to keep a little bit more of the proceeds. We're happy. Joel's happy. Sean Ross Sapp is happy. The Decepticons are happy. Humperchats.com. Do it now.
What about the Autobots?
I mean, whatever. I don't judge.
All right. And of course, if you want to find another way to subscribe to us and give us some support, FightfulSelect.com. We'll talk about that in a little bit because let's face it, if you've ever wanted to talk about CM Punk forever until your eyes bleed, all the news is there over FightfulSelect.com. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, we got to talk about BTI and we got to talk about George Blonde Iceman. He's in a cage.
I liked it.
Really? All right.
I like the blonde. Like at first, I was like, is he bald? But like, no, that's a hot blonde. He got it done yesterday. You could tell.
I think he's had it for a little bit now.
I mean, but you can see that by the taping, like it looked like he just got it done. Like it's blonde.
Yeah, he got touched up. I saw him on Sunday. Yeah, very blonde. He also keeps a very close haircut, right? So it looks fine. It looks good. He mentions that they're coming back to Toronto. Impact is for IPWF. As is tradition, Cresta and I aren't going to really cover IPWF. That's the November show. There's plenty of Impact content coming over the next few months. It's actually wild. We'll get into that. But in December, Toronto is also going to host Final Resolution. That's an Impact special. No More Rebel Nightclub. They're going to be at the Battle Arts Academy that's owned by Santino Marella, or Anthony Corelli as he is known. So that is part of the reason why they're heading over there. There's also the discussion of the upgrades that are coming to Impact production. That mostly affects Skyway Studios as far as I understand it, but it will also kind of impact, no pun intended, some of the stuff that they take on the road. So I'm hoping that there's some really cool upgrades in the future for their production, including cameras, setups, stages, things like that. But as a result, I guess Battle Arts is going to be one of the places where they have the venue as freely and as long as they need it, so they can do a bunch of testing there. And it's probably cheaper than Rebel because it's not in the middle of Toronto. It's actually in Mississauga. Those who know, it's far if you don't live in the city.
Yikes. I mean, you're going to pay for convenience, but also I'm a fan of Impact. So anything that'll get more eyes on it, whether if the people are complaining about production value, do it. Whatever's clever. I think that is the most important thing. So yeah, it may be far, but one thing about Impact fans, they're going to go to Impact.
They will. And you know what? Mississauga is not bad if you got a car. It's more getting to Rebel ain't much better. I'll put it like that, because Rebel, I've told the story a million times. Rebel is currently in a spot in Toronto where everything is under construction and nothing is easy to get to. So really both are inaccessible, but believe it or not, Battle Arts is a little more accessible than Rebel Nightclub.
Listen, we'll take it as long as we can watch some fine wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into that fine wrestling. Drilla Maloney came in from New Japan. He's a junior tag champion. He faced Kushida tonight. Really interesting because Drilla just worked the Rev Pro show this past weekend and then came in on very little note. I mean, I don't know how little notice it was because he was probably booked for this knowing he did Rev Pro, but came across the pond basically, a day later to go face Kushida. This was taped on Monday. Random booking, but good for him because Drilla had a really great showing. The double stomp senton that he does on Kushida looks brutal. It was
so good.
Got his guts right out of his body. And then, of course, Kushida's working the arm the entire match and then eventually gets him in that hoverboard lock. Maloney taps. What'd you think? This was a fun match.
You picked the spot that I was going to say. When he did that stomp into that standing senton, that was so clean. The match was stiff. Everything about this match was disgusting. The only nice thing I could say is that Maloney had really nice teeth. But that match was stiff for a short match. That Kushida winning makes sense. But when he tried to get the hoverboard lock the first time, and then I think Maloney slipped out, whether he was too sweaty or too fast, I don't know. I want to believe it was too sweaty because that makes more sense in my fantasy. But that match itself had no right being that good for a BTI match.
Yeah, when I saw it happening, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. And it was. So I'm asking you, if you have the time, go watch the match. It's usually 40 minutes into the BTI program.
Mhm.
And of course, if you go just a little bit before that, George Iceman does his thing. So you can go and revel at the Iceman. Okay. Let's get into Impact. Oh, buddy. Opening up with the Knockouts Battle Royal. Cresta,
That was a lot.
I watched this live. And I looked at people in. So in the Battle Royal, it's 10 women. It's Matcha Slamovich, Killer Kelly, Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, Jody Threat, Kylan King, Courtney Rush, Jessica, Alicia Edwards, and Vanna Black. Vanna Black is a wrestler from Hamilton. She's actually the current Hamilton Pro Wrestling Riot champion. So she's been around for a few years. This was a great opportunity for her just to get some TV time, some TV exposure. And she did a good job. The big news here, Alicia Edwards is the #1 contender for the Knockouts Championship. When it happened live, they had not announced that this was for the #1 contender for Victory Road. And then when we realized Victory Road is effectively a week from tomorrow, we said, oh shit, they really are trying to do something. What do you think? This Battle Royal set up a few different stories, which I liked. But overall, Lish Edwards is your #1 contender for the Knockouts title.
I think this is really funny. And I'm going to tell you why. Lish right now is really hot, whether we like it or not. And she's hot in the sense of Vicky Guerrero. Excuse me, yelling, just being a menace to society. Wrestling gremlins are in and she's getting it. I say that to say, now that Trinity has dealt with someone like Diana, who's going to test you in the ring physically and mentally, now you got to deal with someone who's Giselle Shaw levels of I will do anything to treat. Yo, what is happening tonight?
It's the house. Why are you? It's because you're stuck in this house. You've been stuck in this house for months.
It's the Sean Ross Sapp house. I gotta get out of here, y'all. I gotta go.
Gotta get out of that basement, man. It looks beautiful, but it's just not for you. Yeah, there you go. That's for the next match. That's for the Crazy Steve match when we get to that point.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny. I totally forgot Alicia Edwards was in there. I know they said she didn't go over, but I just assumed she Thanos snapped into the ethos. When she pushed Jody Threat and Kylan King over the edge at the end, over the top rope at the end, I was like, that's funny. But okay, I respect it. You're going to get beat up by Trinity, but you're going to beat that woman with a kendo stick. You're going to cheat to win. And that's if Tracy don't come out and beat you up for cheating, because you're a cheater. You're probably going to cheat when you go fight Tracy Kazarian.
So let me tell you what happened live. We were all shocked as well. And they actually they showed us the replay tonight on the program, which was helpful. They showed that Savannah Evans had basically clothesline Lish over the top rope, but not to the floor. So Lish rolled in, basically got herself back officially into the match, and then rolled out, therefore not being eliminated, and then stayed on the outside till the finish, which was, like you said, Jody Threat trying to eliminate Savannah Evans, and then she just grabs both. Alicia Edwards comes in, grabs both, tosses them both over. And I liked a lot of what this match was doing, because Kylan King and Jody Threat ended up teaming up at Emergence because Taylor Wilde is injured. MK Ultra were in the match. They were eliminated by Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans, respectively. So it looks like that's continuing on, which again, I like. Vanna Black felt like she was an extra body to replace somebody, possibly Taylor Wilde.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, most likely that. And then Courtney Rush and Jessica were there. They're the Death Dolls. They're in that Knockouts division regardless, and they deserve to be there as stalwarts. And then Lish is Lish. So everyone had something going on except for Lish Edwards. So it made sense. And when I say that everyone had something else going on, I mean like something going on in the Knockouts division. Lisha was the only one who does it. So it made sense, but at the same time, it was like, why? So also, this is coming up to Victory Road. We're going to talk about the card later because most of it's already set. And there are things that I like about it and things that I don't like. This is probably not going to main event, but this is an opportunity to put another different talent in front of Trinity. And for them to have a good match, that's the challenge now. Post-match, the Edwards is celebrate. And then Lisha says, she's no longer a champion's wife. calls her and Edward the power couple and says to Trinity, I'm going to win the Knockouts World Championship. Effective little promo. It was good. Next week is even better. No spoilers, but they do have some good setup for this match.
I will say my biggest complaint about this match in particular was there was a lot of tag teams. And there's nothing wrong with having a lot of tag teams, but there are singles competitors that you could have put in. Like, where is Tasha Steelz? Like, she was there and then she wasn't. Yeah, Jordan Grace is coming, so I'll give you that. If I'm Deonna Purrazzo, you think I'm going to do a battle royale? I'm Deonna Purrazzo. You got me messed up. I'm not doing that. So I'm like, there are some other women. I'm just like, does it all have to be tag teams? Because if it wasn't going to be Lish, Giselle Shaw, maybe Vanna Black, but even then that doesn't make sense. So I just thought it was curious that everyone in here was a tag team besides Lish.
You brought up Tasha Steelz, and that is something that's ongoing and just very confusing. And there hasn't been much reporting on it. Nobody knows what's going on, and hopefully everything's okay. But yeah, she is someone who absolutely should be in a position to challenge for the Knockouts World Championship. She came back. She had her feud with Giselle, and then she was gone. So it's been very strange. They haven't cycled her back in. They haven't found a spot for her. Hopefully it comes sooner than later, and hopefully everything's okay. But as of right now, she's just not there. And you're right. It was a lot of tag teams in this match, and that's why it was a little, obvious to a certain point that it was going to be Lish, because it wasn't going to be Vanna Black, although that would have been hilarious to me. At the same time, how did Santino Marella make his WWE debut? Showed up at a match. Danny Luna's another one, by the way. I see the chat talking about Danny Luna. She has a match next week, so that's fine. But yeah, long and the short of it is you had a really solid group of women, but they all happen to be in the tag division, and that's just not super conducive to trying to find the number one contender to your Knockouts World Singles Champion.
Yeah, no, it kind of makes the winner a little bit obvious. But it also makes me question, what is the depth of your women's roster? Because if it's not Trinity or Jody or Deonna and now Grace, who is it? And I don't think we should have that question, because I know you guys have the women, and it's kind of sucking to me that I can't recall anyone who's not in the team right now.
I think there's a reset coming. That's really what it is. You've got Jordan Grace coming. You've got Deonna Purrazzo challenging. You saw that there's a 5-on-5 match at Impact 1000 with a couple of question marks here and there. You're talking about where you fit in Tasha Steelz. There's another option for you. I made a joke on Twitter about Giselle Shaw and Deonna Purrazzo being on opposite sides of each other at every single opportunity. And they both responded to my comment, which was, clearly this means you two are winning the Knockouts to World Tag titles next. And they were both like, absolutely not. No, Jesus Christ, no. And I was sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, oh, but what if? What if this is where we're going with this?
I wouldn't hate it. I think it'd be funny. I always like seeing Deonna Purrazzo in odd couple situations or with Chelsea Green, because her and Chelsea Green are gold, because Deonna plays such a good straight person. Chelsea Green is just out there. So to have her be with Giselle Shaw, she would hate every moment of it, and it would be great TV.
You could do an MJF and Adam Cole storyline with this. They both hate each other, but then they come around because they're both very good at this. I don't know. Who knows? But Mickie James coming back, that's another one. It's a possibility. She usually works on a handshake deal with Impact anyway. But again, you have some talent coming back who one of those incoming talent is going to dethrone Trinity, I believe, at Bound for Glory. We'll put it like that.
I wouldn't hate it.
I don't either. So let's move on. Motor City Machine Gun start a promo on Lio Rush, and then in walks Josh Alexander, and he says, hey, I lost the 8-man tag match at Emergence. I take responsibility. I let Macklin get a hold of me, and when I vacated that title, Macklin said what he said, and that really angered me, and I only want my world title back. And then Alex Shelley takes like a hard left and says, it seems to me like you just think I'm a transitional champion.
Nobody said that, bro.
I didn't say that. It's very like short man syndrome. It was very strange. And then Shelley says to Josh Alexander, go take care of Steve Macklin, and then you can have a shot at my world title. And then they start going, Josh Alexander walks off. They continue the promo. Rascals come walking in. they're talking about winning the title. They're being all childish and stupid, and it's fun. And Motor City Machine Guns are like, hey, you're embarrassing as tag title champions, yada, yada. And then Sabin challenges Zachary Wentz tonight. That match gets made official. What do you think of this promo? Because again, it got weird, man.
This promo was truly the interrupting cow promo. Sabin said 2 words, and here comes Josh Alexander. I also, too, don't understand Shelly saying, you just think I'm a transitional champion. I'm like, but you had 2 really good title defenses. If you were a transitional champion, you would have lost it on your first title defense. I mean, I'm not in business, but I don't think that's what transitional means. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. But also, again, like you said, short man, nobody said that. Okay, I see what's happening here, because you can't have a good guy versus a good guy. And right now, Josh Alexander is the guy. He is the good guy. So, okay, whatever. I wouldn't be upset about a heel Motor City Machine Guns, because I do feel like Sabin's promos are getting more and more, I'm sick of your crap, Lio Rush. I'm going to choke you, Lio Rush. I can't wait to get my hands around your neck, Lio Rush. So a heel Motor City Machine Guns wouldn't be bad. And if this is the vehicle to do so, whatever. The Rascals coming out, I don't know. They're like the annoying little brothers. So it's like, oh, brother, what do you want? You want to play with my Legos? Go away. So, like, I'm not mad, but I'm just like, eh.
We'll talk about Wentz and Sabin a little bit later in the show. The matches get made official, and then it has implications going into Victory Road. But first, Speedball Mike Bailey takes on Crazy Steve. Steve gets DQ'd in the opening seconds of this match. So this was really good, and it really continues the Crazy Steve story. I don't love that they're using Speedball as one of the people involved, but I think it was just I don't think Speedball is going to be directly involved as much as Black Taurus, because you had Taurus come in after Steve tries to take out Speedball's eyes. Tom Hannafin is distracted, and he's like a little fearful of Steve, which I like. Steve gets a fork that he took from catering, presumably, not from the restaurant down the street, because it's like a 15-minute walk to the nearest restaurant from the venue. Anyway, Black Taurus comes in, and then Steve starts assaulting the bull. The security shows up. They kind of get things in order, but not really until Black Taurus comes back in and gets rid of Crazy Steve. Now, I do love Crazy Steve's new entrance. I love that mask. I love the pull up from the mouth of the mask. There's some really cool presentation here. What do you think of this whole new presentation of Crazy Steve and Black Taurus getting involved and just the whole shebang?
I have 2 thoughts. My first thought is, does Primal this mother is crazy. He's crazy. I don't want it. He's really crazy. He's really living up to, it was Crazy Steve yucks before the bite of 87. Now this is, he's crazy. From a wrestling fan standpoint, this is low-key art. I like the mask. The mask is spooky LaDuca. Don't get me wrong. But it reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with Slipknot, the old masks they used to wear that were really creepy when they would come to the ring. And I'd be like, oh, but it fuels the presentation. Him using Speedball, I hate it, but it makes sense. Everybody loves Speedball. Why would you attack Speedball? Why would you gouge out Mr. Speedball, Mr. Ultimate Weapon himself? You're crazy. Everyone loves Speedball. And then you turn on Black Taurus. That was your yuck crazy friend. Why would you said everyone abandoned you. He didn't abandon you. He just didn't want you to come to the ring that one time. He was going for the X Division Championship. Why are you being a crazy hater? But also, you're incredibly deep and complex, and I live for it. So I don't hate it. It's a very creepy presentation, but like, he's crazy. No, Crazy Steve is really crazy. He's crazy. No, he's really crazy. Like, don't look him in the eye, because he might stab your eyes out, yelling at everyone, I want your eyes. I want your eye. Bro, Crazy Steve is literally crazy. And I live. I don't know if I can live through another murder courtesy of Impact, or eye gouging courtesy of Impact. I just want to watch wrestling, but it's great.
Listen, all I'm saying is Crazy Steve is he's just angling for an eye match. That's all he's doing. And I get it. Okay. Yeah, you got it. As long oh God.
I don't even know why this is in that library. This is not my image.
For the audio listeners, just go ahead and download the video, because here we are. I really like what you said. Using Speedball is perfect because universally beloved. not Speedball. It's not Lemmy. It's the same thing. Okay. And I love that. And you're right. And now you're dealing with a Steve who's crazy, unpredictable, and he just wants your eyeballs. Would you donate your eyeballs to Crazy Steve?
You know what? I already am blind to the bullshit, so he can have my. I forced that joke like a ponytail. I'm so sorry.
Nope, I'll take it. Moose Myers and Edward Edwards are in the back. And Emergence Myers says, "We were all victorious. Isn't that great?" And then it's a shame SANADA came all this way to lose. Edward Edwards says the biggest difference between him and Bully is that PCO is still on the brain. And then in walks Bully and dismisses Edward Edwards. And he says a bunch of stuff. And then Moose is just like, "Hey, listen, you ditched us at Emergence. You ditched us in the Lucha match. You know, you've had a long list of bridges that you've burned. And now you can add Moose and Myers to the list." And then they walk away. And then you've got Bully being like, "What about the scumbags?" And I'm like, the scumbags? What about this? Anyway, and then you hear Bully as he's running away, and it's PCO chasing Bully. And this is where it gets interesting. Okay, PCO says the Bully tried to kill him. And then Bully is like, "I'm not trying to kill you. I'm trying to kill the monster Carl." For those who don't know, PCO's full name, Pierre Carl Ouillet. He says, "I care about you." He's basically gaslighting him. It's great. And he says, "I want the man back and not the monster." And then after that happens, I remember I had a conversation with Tommy Dreamer about this at the show on Sunday, where we're talking about how much PCO hates his own body. And then Dreamer's like, "I'm 52. And PCO is," he said it in a promo, he's like, "PCO is like 108. And he does stuff that like no one would ever do." And I kind of turned to Tommy. I'm like, "You know, do you ever like tell PCO maybe you shouldn't do this?" And he says I shit you not, Dreamer says to me, "That's crazy telling crazy what to do." And this is exactly what this is. Bully is now trying to take the crazy out of PCO. I don't hate this, but I know you have feelings about it. Bully cares about his friend PCO from his old ECW days that didn't exist, but his old WWE days. No, they weren't on the roster together. What does Bully want, Cresta Star?
Knock it off. That's all I gotta say. Knock it off. When he started to hit him with the Jedi mind tricks of, "I set you on fire because I loved you. I poured battery acid in your mouth because I loved you." And then PCO just stopped yelling, "Bully, all right, I need you to commit to the bid at this point. Be a zombie. You can't fall for his mind. How are you falling for this? Because he said your real name, not your stripper name? Stop it. Stop it." I've seen Bully Ray do a lot of stunts and tricks, but this is up there with Honor No More. Please stop. I want you to stop before you get started. Not the, "I hit you with my car because I love you. I hacked into your Facebook and told your family that you passed away because I loved you. Don't do that. Don't do what?" And the PCO's falling for it. Mama, this is going to end in a hardcore match. Please don't. There's 50 other ways to get here, not the Jedi mind tricks. Please, please, please.
What if Bully is so insane that he makes a deal with Father James Mitchell to send PCO to the undead realm?
I would take that. I would take that. I would take him selling his soul to Father James Mitchell over him doing, "I loved you, so I ran you over. You don't see anything." I would take that. I would take him going to the undead realm and coming back out as Havoc before I take him doing whatever he's doing now. That's funny. That's really funny, actually. I would like Bully to go to the undead realm and come back out as somebody else. Ooh, I'm going to start crying. That's funny.
Works. That's funny. Though. You think about it. Bully's been losing his shit over this PCO thing. He's so scared. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Maybe he employs Father James Mitchell to take care of him.
That's great. That is. I want to see that. That's such good shit, pal. I would like to see Bully Ray do some undead realm stuff. That is actually really funny, and I would pop. Scott, why don't you be listening? Yo, write that down.
I know some of y'all are listening. This is the one. This is the idea.
Even if it's for the audience of what? Think about me. Write that down.
I will praise every aspect of the show if this is what you do for me.
Bro, you want to see me working? I will chill. I'll be up here every week. I'll even go on the Collision show. Like, let me tell you something about Impact, all right? Collision was my family, but now they're not anymore. It's Impact. I will Cyrus the virus everywhere if you do that.
Oh, I'm into that. They announced the Turning Point is going to be in Newcastle on Friday, October 27th. Will Ospreay will be there. Ospreay is also a Bound for Glory. That is fantastic. I'm looking forward to watching Will Ospreay in Impact again. And in 2023, when the man is having some of the best matches of his career, oh, we're going to bring that over to our channel and we're going to talk the shit out of that. It's going to be fun. Friday, the show starts at 6 p.m. local. So it's going to be an afternoon show on a Friday for us. So that might be fun. You and I could do like a Friday afternoon stream, like a post show for this.
And this time we'll mess up everybody else's schedules. See how you guys like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm literally going to go off the air from my morning show and watch Impact until we do our thing. So that's going to be a busy Friday. But anyway, we'll see what happens. That's October 27th. That's a Friday. Hopefully that's what we'll be doing. That venue that they're running is about a 2,000 seat venue. So hopefully they fill it. And someone like Will Ospreay could potentially do it if they have a big match planned for him.
I think so. I mean, if you've been watching what he's been doing in AEW recently, that's a very angry British man. There's a lot of bruv. So I think, he could absolutely sell it out. My only concern is maybe he sell it like a fire hazard. Too many people want to go see Will Ospreay. You know what I mean?
Well, they got a whole 4 nights for that. We'll see if he's going to be part of the entire tour or not. Dobby the Brain Heenan sends us a super chat, which you can also do any amount of question statement around the air. Says, I can't stick around tonight, but I wanted to say Victory Road and Impact 1000 are looking stacked. Solid show tonight. Enjoy your night, Cresta and Joel. Thank you, Dobby. I hope you're enjoying your night as well. Yeah, that Victory Road card looks good. We're going to talk about that as we round out the show later on. Impact 1000 is starting to come together. I'm wondering how they're going to fit all these talent that they keep talking about onto a 2-hour show. I'm fearful that they're going to be like, Impact 1000 is a 3-hour event. And I'm going to be like, and I'm not staying up to watch it. So we'll see what we get, but it's looking like it's going to be a really fun show. And yeah, let's keep on moving. I really like this match. On Eric Young, they ran it back from Chicago and they did it with the finish this time. Eric Young coming out with the stickers on his mask that say TF and E and WR. Those are Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda. He was very emotional before and after the match. Also, the elbow pads on Kaun. He also had that same sticker. It looks like they were passing it out and people were wearing them all night, which was nice. People who were on the show. Eric Young has a beautiful elbow drop. It's undefeated to me. It's good stuff. A really, really solid match. Kaun is a good full Nelson slam. Not much I can tell you other than just two dudes beating the shit out of each other, and Eric Young gets the victory. What do you think of this whole thing? Pile drivers for all.
I will say Eric Young was out here selling like it was the stock market and it was in the 90s. Every time Kaun hit Eric Young, I think in the first 10 minutes he hit Eric Young, and the way Eric Young sold it, like he got his clock cleaned, his bell run. That man had baby legs. It was so good. Kaun took most of the match, but Eric Young is a crazy, crazy Canadian. And I like watching his matches because he gives off crazy Canadian homeless person in the most respectful way. I mean, like, he's just unhinged. He looks unhinged from the way he sells. That pile driver on the outside to Kaun was nasty. Him trying to do the sequences to knock Kaun off his feet just to get him in a tiger driver for Kaun to still kick out was nasty. The ending sequence when he ended up the pile driver in the ring was nasty. Eric Young is an amazing talent. And the more I get to watch him, the more I resonate when he said, if you can't find 10 minutes for Eric Young, what are we doing? What are we doing? That was great. And I think Kaun looked great for it. I hope this is an end to the design. I think this would be a nice bow on it. You kill what you have created, and maybe we find something for Kaun and Diener to do. You know, X Division is wide open. Have Kaun do some digital media stuff, or maybe bully people in the main event scene. I wouldn't hate that, but this was a nice bow. Hopefully this is the end. If it isn't the end, if Diener refuses to die, maybe you do a cage match. Maybe you do something where whatever the next one is the end. But if this is the end, this was a nice little bow. This was a great match.
I really enjoyed the match. I said so much earlier. I like that they didn't have Diener out with Kaun. Having Diener sell the effects of the no disqualification match from Emergence was really a big help. That means that they'll do something backstage to set up a match at Bound for Glory, or maybe it's just going to be Eric Young moves on, and that's it. Because again, all of this kind of changed on a dime when Eric Young came back at Bound for Glory and had gotten out of his WWE contract, which he had some non-compete. So there was some time to get it ready creatively. But now it's like, we don't need to linger too long with the design and we can kind of move on. I do wonder what happens next for Diener, for Kaun, and all that. And digital media might work, but it all depends on, who's the champion and what kind of stories they're telling in that division at the time, because Kaun has so much potential. I want to see Kaun and Jake Something on Jake Something's ascent, and we're going to get there. I'm sure we will. One thing I do want to point out, I had a good laugh about this because it happened live as well. You could hear it if you were watching tonight. When they do the pile driver on the floor, there's the count out session with the referee doing the 1, the 2 to 10 count, and she calls Kaun by his real name at one point. She gets to 3 and she's like, "Come on, Ryan, you got to get up, get in the ring." And I'm just like, live in the arena, I'm just like, she just call him Ryan?
Who the fuck is Ryan?
Well, I know his name. I know his real name is Ryan, and I'm just like, did they pick that up on the cameras? Because I heard that plain as day. Then lo and behold, I've got my headphones on watching the show, and I'm just like, yep, they got it.
Listen, sometimes wrestling is too real, bro.
Eric Young gets the win. He's very emotional post-match. It was a really good match. Again, Eric Young could do no wrong in this return so far. He has knocked it out of the park, continues to do so. Lio Rush, speaking of which, he talks about why are you wrestling Pete Wentz? I was going to say, why are you wrestling Pete Wentz?
That's a band.
I know. Why are you wrestling Zachary Wentz tonight, Chris Sabin? You're still shook from Slammiversary? That's what it's all about. You can't beat me. And the definition of insanity is you have the same. We all know the saying, but he basically says every time you face me, you're going to lose. And then in walks Kushida, who's got that giant Ultimate X around his neck, and he just says, "Victory Road," and there it is. We're going to do Kushida versus Lio Rush at Victory Road for the X Division Championship. I like it. It's simple. We're building to Sabin and Rush, I assume, at Bound for Glory. But what did you think of this quick little segment with Lio Rush and with Kushida?
Short and simple, right to the point. Kushida never has to talk because he does all the talking in the ring. I do agree, Lio Rush. Why are you fighting Zachary Wentz? What are we doing? Who cares about that guy? He's a weirdo. Like, what are you doing? I thought you were focused on me. If you're scared, say that. Good stuff.
Yeah. Jordan Grace is back, literally, and also in the video. We're going to talk about that. But also, if you want contract details, go over to FightfulSelect.com. We got more on that. We'll talk more about Fightful Select in a bit. And then Deonna Purrazzo challenges Jordan Grace at Victory Road, basically saying unfinished business and, never beat me and yada, yada. It feels like Deonna Purrazzo's working on a downward spiral storyline. She lost twice to Trinity. Now this is kind of like her. I can beat her, but Jordan Grace coming back means probably not the case, right?
I mean, I don't know, because I thought this promo was a little weird because Gia Miller asked you, like, emergencies in the book, so how do you feel now that you lost to Trinity? And instead of you either saying, yeah, I lost fair and square, or F Trinity, this, that, and the third, you were more upset with Jordan Grace coming back, which I thought was a little bit odd. But if she's working on a downward spiral, of course, because no one pins Deonna Purrazzo twice. So that didn't even really happen. So I don't even want to talk about it. So let's talk about this spotlight stealer, Jordan Grace, someone I know I can be. Listen, I love a good delusion. So if we're entering the delusion of Deonna Purrazzo, I'm here for it.
I am here for Jordan Grace going after the Impact World Championship.
Yes.
In that video, when she takes off the top and you see her working out, she's topless, she's doing that. To me, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, I don't know, but to me, what that felt like was she's just as strong as anyone else. And like, it's not like a stupid, like, oh, and she looks like the guys. No, it's not even that, but it's just like, it was a gender non-specific look at this person who is very well built and could carry anything on her shoulders. Maybe I'm wrong, but also at the same time, people were like, you should go for the world title. And she was like, I want that title. I want to be the person who holds that holds that world championship. I'm fine with that. I'd love to see that. To have Jordan Grace represent that company as the world champion and make up for the last woman who held the world championship would go a very long way for Impact's history. That's where I'm at with that. I'm sure you agree. And do you want to add anything to that?
I agree. I will say that when I first started watching wrestling, seeing Tessa Blanchard hold the not knockouts, the Impact World Championship was wild to me, and it was such a big thing. And then whatever happened, and I'm not saying that it was a black mark, because I think she absolutely deserved it at that time period for who she was, what she was in the business. But if we're going to crown another woman, like there are 3 women who I think about when I think of Impact World Champion. Oh my God, I just said the woman's name and I done forgot. It'll come Blanchard, Grace, and Purrazzo. So if it's gotta be Grace and then Grace versus Purrazzo, sorry, men, take a back seat, go fight for the X division or something. I think what Impact has done for the women's division at large is great. And now is definitely another time that they could be like, this is what our women are doing. This is what we got going on. And I think Grace for the world I keep wanting to say knockouts, but Grace for the world title would be amazing. And I believe that she could go toe-to-toe with a Macklin. I believe she could go toe-to-toe with an Alexander. Hot take, I don't care. I believe it. And it would be great. It would be a good match. And no one could ever try to say, well, you got to do a no. She's fantastic. And so is Purrazzo in her own right. If that happens, I will be the biggest Impact show. Don't make me do my Don Callis promo again. Let me tell you about family, all right?
I'm looking forward to her return. I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan Grace back in the Impact ring, and we'll see what they do with her. But just if she ends up just doing knockouts only stuff, that's fine. But I really think that she and others are aspiring to greater heights for her. Let's talk about Wentz and Sabin. This match was another one that was really good. Great chemistry as expected between these two. Wentz doing that super kick to the back of the head and then a half Nelson slam on Sabin. Good stuff. The STF from Sabin looks crisp, and then Trey Miguel gets involved. Alex Shelley takes care of Trey. Sabin takes everybody out. The missile dropkick into the cradle shock gets the win for Sabin over Wentz. Post-match, Trey goes to attack Sabin, and then they just kind of leave the ring, do the Rascals, and the Motor City Machine Guns hang out in the ring for a few minutes. This is what it is. What do you think of Wentz versus Sabin?
This is another stiff match. I wasn't expecting it to be that stiff, especially from Wentz, but it was a really good match. To me, I keep seeing shades of heel Sabin. I don't know if we've ever seen heel Sabin. As long as I've been watching Impact, he's kind of been like wrestling uncle, good guy Greg. He doesn't do anything he might do heel-ish stuff, but it's never like, it's not like full-on Rascals. So again, if this is the vehicle, I'm with it, because I like the Rascals. They're an annoying tag team heel team that you need. So if they're going to get under his skin to make him have to change, to make the Motors Machine Guns have to change, to give him a refresh, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too. And we're going to see those 4 are going to have a match real soon. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Ace of Base have their little promo in the back. They say, congrats to the Rascals winning the world tag titles. And then we're going to take those titles from them, and it'll be sweet. And then Good Hands come in. And they're just like, nah. There was no payoff from the Rascals to take you down on Sunday. We took you out because we just don't like you. And then Bay challenges them and they walk away, yada, yada, yada. Ace of Bay's Good Hands is incoming, I assume. Maybe the countdown show at Victory Road. And then we get to Ace of Bay's versus Rascals at Bound for Glory.
Not mad at that, but also feel like, does the Good Hands have a shame kink? Because you always making these matches just to lose. I feel kind of bad for them. I'm beginning to feel bad for them.
They bite off more than they can chew because they're delusional heels. That's what they are, right?
Yeah. But now just again, it's becoming like, how many times have we teach you this lesson, old man?
Well, remember last week on the show, we were just like, who's Joya going to face? Well, we didn't know they were going to be called Joya at the time. But we were like, who are they going to face? And then one of us, probably, I think it was you, we're just like, Good Hands. And that was it.
Good hand. No, you had said good hands. I had said champagne sing.
Well, let me tell you, Cresta Star, technically we're both right.
The best of both worlds. Miley Cyrus did a song about it.
Oh God. Speaking of butchering songs, Santino's back with Subculture. Subcultura! Not Sepultura. Anyway. Subculture comes in, they say they want the rematch for the tag titles. This is like the tag title heavy part of the show. And then Santino's makes the Rascals versus Motor City Machine Guns at Victory Road, to which I said, okay, but this is another show without a world title defense. That much I don't love. And that only plays into Alex Shelley being like, oh, you think I'm a transitional champion? If you're not a transitional champion, maybe you should be defending your title on the big shows and not just facing Brian Myers on the go home to Emergence, putting your title on the line against, well, him. Anyway.
Brian Myers is serious competition. I don't know what you're speaking of.
Listen, he's bigger than everyone, but it's deceptive. Sammy and Swan walk in and they want the Rascals. And then Subculture takes objection, and everyone got screwed on the lead up to the Rascals getting the tag title shot and eventually the win. And then Santino makes Subculture versus Sammy and Swan. And then Joya walk in. They say they want a tag title shot, and Santino's like, nah, but eventually you'll get there. And he does the Joya, and I'm just like, nah, you've killed it. Yeah, well, he's killed it already. So we got that going for us. What do you think of this segment? Because it got all over the place.
For the 5 minutes they had, they said we're going to maximize every second of this 5 minutes. I'm still popping for Joya. It licks a part of my internet brain. I love it. It's great. But everyone there has a valid concern with the Rascals being pieces of shit cheaters. So I don't know how we're going to rectify this. But he's also right with saying, Joy, just because you're a new team doesn't mean you get a championship shot. Stop it. Back of the lot. Go fight Champagne Sing and Shira first. You know what I mean? Like, get out of here.
Get to 50 wins and you get your title shot, okay?
All right. Now, both of y'all are, well, one of you was champion, so make it happen.
Speaking of the 50 wins, so Kenny King and Sheldon Jean are in the ring. And right away, Kenny King starts mocking Toronto sports teams. And I'm like, why are you booing the man? He's right. And then King says, I beat Johnny Swinger at Emergence, gave him a little extra beat down just to remind him to never face me again. Says I took my 2 feet and kicked Tommy Dreamer's chins in with it. And then out comes Tommy Dreamer. Now, I can tell you live, and you can tell if you're listening on the show tonight, there were a lot of edits made to this, whether it was clarifying or just trying to make things sound better than they were. The crowd was very attentive. We were watching and paying attention, but at the same time, there was just something not, I can't explain it. This promo was really good, and we're going to get into the meat of it in a second. But it was also it was like a mix of this inside baseball mixed with both sides are making really good points, and both sides are right simultaneously. But one guy is just the young, brash POS champion. He's not even that young. He's just younger than Tommy Dreamer. And then Dreamer, who's the old guard representing and making his point. And he makes it both sides make it very difficult to pick a side. And let's just get right into it. Dreamer says, apparently Johnny Swinger's father-in-law passed away hours before his match at Emergence. And when we were live in the crowd, we were just like, oh, shit. Like, we had no idea, obviously. And then he tells the story of Johnny Swinger calling Tommy Dreamer from the road, apologizing him for not being there, and then asks him about the main event. Says, I'm on the road. I'm 5 hours out. So he's asking about the show. He's being a veteran. He's being a professional. And then meanwhile, Kenny King, Sheldon Jean are showing no respect to the main event of Emergence, and that is a no-no. And then he says that they have 1,000 episodes of Impact, and so many people have come and gone, and yada, yada, yada. You show no respect. That's the basis of the Tommy Dreamer promo. And then King says, I didn't know about Swingman's father-in-law, but if I had known, we probably would have taken more shots at the bar. And I just, again, there was no reaction from the crowd because the crowd was just like, what is this promo?
Yeah.
Basically, the whole thing ends up with Tommy Dreamer saying, I'm going to put my career on the line against your digital media championship. And originally, I think Tommy said this was going to be at Impact 1000. So imagine the surprise on my face when they put that up as a graphic for Victory Road. So there was some editing done to this promo, and even then, I don't think it didn't really do much. I don't know. I want your thoughts on it because it was a bit hokey. It was a bit worky shooty. It was all over the place.
The only thing I can agree with you is that it was a bit hokey. It was hokey pokey. I want to give an unbiased opinion, but all I got is a biased one. I did not like this. Two things. First is a joke. The second one isn't. The first one is he said, I beat Joe Hendry, and he said his name, and Joe Hendry didn't appear, which I thought was BS. Stick to the gimmick, you know? Boo. The second part is, it's kind of like, my little brother said this in jest, but I kind of agree with him. He's like, hey, y'all complain about Jeff Jarrett and his Tommy Dreamer. I don't understand what the point of this was. I kind of don't. If you wanted to build a career, if this is your retirement match, okay, cool. But if you beat Kenny King, what? Like, no shade. I think Tommy Dreamer is great. But in this situation, I don't understand what's this for. It's unfortunate. And, God rest this man so that his stepfather died. Please don't let Christian Cage hear about this shit. But, at the same time, it's like, I don't understand why you have to bring all of that up to get to you having the worst year. Did you use that as... I don't know. You can say Kenny King never main evented nothing, but Kenny King been in Impact just as long as you, buddy. So don't do all of that. I don't know how this helped anyone. I don't know how this. It's gonna be a brown down for me. Sorry, Simon Miller.
So here's nice. So here is kind of my thought process. They're going to be in White Plains, New York. That is Dreamer's backyard. The Digital Media Championship is not important enough for people to be like, oh, he's definitely going to win. This was the only title that they could put up that would be like a big deal in terms of believability. So Dreamer winning the Digital Media Championship and then dropping it like the next night to somebody, not out of the realm of possibility. Kenny King can just move up from there. That's fine. And then one other thing that Dreamer said in this promo was like, I turned down millions of dollars from other companies because I listened to the veterans. And I said to myself, I'm pretty sure those veterans would have told you to get the bag, Tommy.
Bro, when he said that, I was like, boy, that's cat. To quote one Terry, that's not going to work for me, brother.
And Cresta, just like you said, and I fully like, Tommy Dreamer is legendary. When I had a chance to just listen to him talk for a minute or two the other night, I loved it. It was a really nice chat. I think he is absolutely invaluable to this business. He has a passion and an experience unlike anybody else because he has been around for so damn long and he has seen so much. I don't know what this segment was set to accomplish, and I don't know what anyone gains from either outcome. Dreamer wins the Digital Media Championship. Okay, why?
Yeah.
Kenny King retires Tommy Dreamer from in-ring competition. Okay, why? What does this accomplish? It's not gonna be the main. Maybe it's gonna be the main event of Victory Road, and if that's the case, then Jesus Christ, we have a lot of other matches that could easily top that.
I also think, like you said, him being who he is, Tommy Dreamer, I would want a Tommy Dreamer retirement match to have a little bit more build, a little bit more something, or someone who has some sort of connection with him, rather than Kenny King, who's going to cheat him out his boots with Sheldon Jean. You know what I mean? And like you said, I don't think that even if you do retire him, I don't think you look better for it, Kenny King. I don't think that makes you the legend killer. I don't think anyone here on the other side is going to be like, wow, I'm glad we did that.
There was a dark match that was filmed this week at the tapings, and it was Tommy Dreamer and Channing Decker teaming up. Channing Decker was on BTI not too long ago. We talked about it. Do you remember who Channing Decker's opponent was on that BTI episode?
Not at all.
I'll give you a hint. He's the current Digital Media Champion.
Return of the King. Return of the King. Okay. We're all caught up.
Channing Decker's promotion, Greektown Wrestling. I talk about it often when I do other stuff. And most of my interviews come from Greektown Wrestling as well, because they've been very good to me and they've welcomed me to do interviews and do stuff for Fightful. They are an ECW like callback. They do a lot of that stuff. There's a story that went around when Terry Funk passed about Terry giving a a locker room talk via telephone. That was at Greektown Wrestling. And then very famously, McFoley took over the bookings for Terry when Terry couldn't make it. Tommy Dreamer has done stuff with Greektown. There is a connection between Dreamer and Channing Decker.
Mm-hmm.
This match was unaired. They also faced Bravo and Alpha. So it's not Bravo, Alpha Bravo and Johnny Swinger. Oh my God.
Dirty Dango. I got
Dirty
you.
Dango. It was Johnny Curtis is what I was thinking of. Anyway, that notwithstanding, I thought it was King and Gene when they put out the promotion for it against Dreamer and Decker. And I thought this was going to be a tag match where Dreamer basically says, like, you are the new King of Hardcore, Channing Decker, and we're going to start, using Decker more. And that would have been fine. That's not what they're doing. Instead, it's going to be Dreamer and King. And like you said, there's minimal build to what is potentially a retirement match. Or Dreamer's about to win a singles title in Impact at 52 and go on the run of his life. I don't know.
Not him flying in the face of Johnny Swinger.
Well, then Swingman's going to come back and be like, Daddy, I can beat you. And then Swingman beats Tommy Dreamer for the DMC.
Tommy Dreamer, do the job for Johnny Swinger. Be a pal guy.
And the thing is, that's the problem. I like what they're doing, calling it the DMC, and like what Kenny King's doing. I like what he's rolling with so far as digital media champion.
I agree.
That's why he has to beat Dreamer, but also like there's just no reason to beat Dreamer.
Yeah, like it beat Dreamer. Yes, I'm gonna retire if he beats me. Don't do that. I don't like that. Ooh.
Yeah, that's the part that just gets weird. So we'll see what they do. It's on the card now. We'll talk about Victory Road in a second because Impact 1000, they announced that Awesome Kong and Gail Kim are both going to get back in the ring. They're doing a 5-on-5 knockouts historic match. Gail Kim, Awesome Kong are teaming together with Trinity, Jordan Grace, and a mystery partner to take on Savannah Evans, Giselle Shaw, Deonna Purrazzo, Angelina Love, and a mystery opponent on their side. Coming to think of it, Tasha Steele's on one of those sides would be cool. I don't know who's on the other side. I have no idea who would be on the other side. Someone mentioned Raka Khan, and I had a good laugh about that. I don't know who else it could be. So
I haven't watched Impact that long. So anyone I'm thinking of, like Madison Rain is now employed by AEW. Tennille Dashwood is now employed by WWE. You already got Awesome Kong. Grace is coming back, but she's not going to be there for that. I don't know. I want to say Melina. Mickey James is a good shout too. Hardcore country. I like that theme song. A lot of people don't. I don't know why.
Fair. Taylor Wilde, if she's back in time, would be good.
I see someone saying ODB. I've heard that name before, but I've never seen her wrestle.
ODB will be interesting. Tara's another one, the former Victoria from WWE. I'm looking at former Knockouts champions because I'm pretty sure everyone involved in this match.
It's probably going to be a former Knockouts champion.
Well, except for Shaw Evans. Angelina Love won at once. I'm pretty sure.
What about old girl who used to tag with Zelina Vega? Sarita?
Oh, Sarita. That's possible.
I'm digging in my Impact bag and it's very shallow. Taya Valkyrie. I don't know.
Yeah, Ty is going to come back from the dead. Honestly, it could be as easy as just doing Tasha Steeles and Mickey James.
That's true.
Because I'm looking at the rest of these and no one's really jumping out at me. ODB is another good shout, though. Velvet Sky is going to be in the corner of the beautiful people's side, so that's Angelina Love. Jay Vidal is going to be with Savannah Evans, so basically there's going to be two there as well. So we'll see. Yeah, Angelina Love is like a multi-time champion. Yeah. Anyway, it's cool. I like that they're doing it. It's not gonna be a long ass match, but yeah. There you go.
I'm here for it. I liked Gail Kim from before when I was watching wrestling when I was much younger, and to see her come back now, I'm like, come on, sis. Yeah, she looks great. I feel like, again, not seeing her wrestle, I know she's been retired. I feel like she could still go. I think she's still got a couple of more years in her tank, but she's like, nah, let me chill. I want to preserve my body. So I respect it, but I think she could still go.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's go next Friday's Victory Road. We will have a post show here on youtube.com/Fightful or on Overbooked. I have no idea, but we will be talking about Victory Road after it goes off the air. Right now, basically the card is set. they pretty much put it all out there. Trinity versus Alicia Edwards for the Knockouts Championship. Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo is on the card. Motor City Machine Guns versus the Rascals for the tag titles. Kushida versus Leo Rush for the X Division Championship. King versus Dreamer for the digital media versus career match. PCO versus Bully, and Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. What is the main event on this show, Cresta Star? Because there are a lot of options here.
Part of me wants to say Steve Macklin versus Josh Alexander, since that's something we've all wanted to see for a very long time. Macklin wants to see it. Alexander wants to see it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the tag team titles. I mean, you've given the men a championship for the pay-per-view before this. The last one was the women's, and then this one could be the tag. That's the only other thing I could think of, because far be it for me to say it's Tommy Dreamer versus Kenny King for the digital media. I see that first.
And that's the thing. Tommy Dreamer in his home, in his home area. Kenny King, who's never had the main event, they can play that into an opportunity for, Kenny King to be like, can you take the pressure of being in the main event? And Tommy Dreamer's at home, so people are going to overly cheer for him. PCO versus Bully could be a headline match if they do a little angle at the end of that, of PCO getting so fried whatever that he starts to become.
That's a good call. That's a very good call. Every time Bully Ray is in a hardcore stipulation match, it's typically the last match, because there's a whole bunch of shenanigans, stunt shows, and tricks at the end of the match. That's a good call.
Yeah, I see the chat saying Motor City Machine Guns and the Rascals for the tag titles. Macklin and Josh Alexander's another one. I can see Josh Alexander and Steve Macklin being the main event, but I can also see them leaving that lower on the card so that they can do it as a main event when the World Championship's involved again.
Yeah, like I said, the thing that makes sense to me is either you do the tag team title ones, because that one's had the most builds so far. And like I said, Impact is pretty fair about who they give the main event slot to. So the women had it last. The men had it, I think, before that, or there was a tag team match, and the pay-per-view before that, Shelly won it. So I think at this point, it's either going to be the tag team, which I doubt, but I mean, if it is, I don't hate it. But I think Josh Alexander and Macklin is a draw. It's a draw. And what are you going to put that on first?
Well, that's again, you can put it on as the semi-main.
But then again, then that leaves to me the Bully and PCO, and almost every Bully match at the end, shenanigans, So you need time for that. So that makes that the end third of it, and then it's like, what, no women's matches? And Impact is pretty good for putting something on with the women, either third to last, second to last, or last.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I don't hate this. Grace and Deonna could also have an argument for being a main event. It's Jordan Grace's. It's Grace's return to Impact. She can easily win it and just be like, I want the World Championship. She can make some sort of declaration after she beats Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know. It could easily be Grace saying, I want Trinity at Bound for Glory. And that's that.
It could be. One of my roommates had said this earlier, and it made me pop so much. I'm going to give this gift to you. It could be Grace versus Deonna, so we can have Haset style. You heard of Haas style and Strong style. Get ready for Haset style. And I can't wait. Big E pioneered it, and I'm just preaching the ways.
She calls herself the Haset, so you're fine. It exists. Anyway, Macklin has a promo. He says torture is time, and time makes him dangerous. He's got time for the recon and getting stronger and faster, watching what's going on with Impact from behind the scenes. And then he says for the walking weapon, it'll be tag him, bag him, and mayhem for Josh Alexander. This was a good promo. Again, looking forward to Josh versus Steve Macklin, that coward at Victory Road. So there you go. Let's talk main event real quick. But first, I got to tell you about FightfulSelect.com. Best $5 in the business. We're going to do it real quick. You know what? CM Punk news, just FightfulSelect.com. It's all there. That's all you got to know. You want the Jordan Grace contract news? It's there. You want all that scoops? They're going to be there. FightfulSelect.com. You want podcasts? Millions of them. Not literally, but like we drop stuff every day, basically. We get interviews ahead of time, notes, and then everything. FightfulSelect.com. Best $5 in the business. You want Coexisting After Dark with Rob and Maggie. You want Sour Graps with Alex Pulowski and Kate Elizabeth. You want, I don't know, a Q&A with Sean Ross Sapp. Tomorrow, he's doing a full-on backstage report Q&A all-in wrap-up, CM Punk extravaganza, Raw, SmackDown, whatever you want. That's on FightfulSelect.com. Best $5 in the business. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's my plug, because I already talked about Jordan Grace and the contract news. Let's talk about this main event, because honestly, I don't have much to say. This was a match for match sake. It was wrapping up some loose ends. We wrapped up on SANADA. Having another match with him was great. Having him in a 6-man. This match was all about Jake something in the end. He gets the victory by hitting into the void on Brian Myers. They're planning something for Jake something. And then, of course, Dango and Bravo are watching. And they're watching WWE style, where they are looking this way and the TV's behind them. And it's cute. But yes, what do you think of this match? The match for match sake.
I too have no notes. My dinner was ready at this point, and I just enjoyed this match. SANADA was getting his work done to him because he beat up Jake something, so he got beat up a lot of this match. Bless his heart. SANADA, though, is really good. Jake something looked a monster in this match. He's somebody else too who's like, if they say, yo, you got beef, I'm like, as it turns out, I'm a vegan. I have no problems. That's a large man. That is a large man. But this match was fine. It was a good main event. We all knew Myers was there for one reason and one reason only: eat the pig. Yeah, I have no notes. It was an okay match. It was a fine match.
Yeah, again, I like that they brought in SANADA, had him up for another match. I was surprised and happy to see him. He hits the Shining Wizard, and then Brian Myers hits the roster cut. They do the slingshot cutter from Kazarian. Edward Edwards takes both Kazarian and himself out of the match, and then something comes back, hits into the void, gets the win. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's the main event. It was just there. It was just there. It was inoffensive. Next week is a busy show, and the main event is what was that? Did they announce it? Did they announce that it was Bully and Macklin versus?
Yeah, the tag scene.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I didn't want to spoil anything. Yeah, that's the main event probably next week, because they are those 4 men are very much involved in what is potentially the main event for Victory Road, which is next Friday. And again, we'll be here doing a post show, and we'll be here Thursday. We'll be here Friday. Cresta, we're back, baby.
Yo, back to back. It's been a while since Impact has said, okay, we got a pay-per-view this week. Next week.
The every 2-week thing is gonna kill me. But what's okay? So I just want to check this because we're here. That's the 18th. That's the 8th, and then I don't think there's anything until October when they do Bound for Glory on the weekend of the 13th, 14th, and then 2 weeks later is that other show in the UK, and then it's IPWF, so we don't have to worry, and then it's Final Resolution at the beginning of December. So look at us, we're gonna have a busy week. Anyway,
lot of mercy.
Lot going on. You got Collision on Saturday nights. Go ahead, Cresta. Tell them what's going on, because you got a busy one ahead.
Now that you said it, if I'm not mistaken, there is a pay-per-view this weekend.
Yes, Ring of Honor All Out.
I don't think that's correct.
Well, tell that to Tony Khan, because he loves booking Ring of Honor, especially tonight's 58-minute episode.
So wait, is there a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, or is it All Out next weekend?
Well, it really depends on what you look at the card and what you decide makes more sense. If half of your card is going to be Ring of Honor matches of Ring of Honor stars, feels like a Ring of Honor pay-per-view to me.
All right, that being said, I'm not sure if there's going to be a Collision show this Saturday.
Oh, no, there is. Collision is still very much live on Saturday.
So I listen, I don't know what's happening here, but if you want to watch wrestling yucks like you got tonight, on Saturday, you can find me and Iridian and Riccacino, sometimes Sean Ross Sapp. We're going to be going over everything Collision related, CM Punk related, your favorite man dominating the wrestling news. If you want more Cresta Star, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can find me over on twitch.tv or TikTok at Cresta Star. And I play video games. We watch wrestling together. Normally on Thursdays, we do our Baldur's Gate run, but our Jay Uso, they were trying to download Starfield and their computer blew up. So we're going to see you guys next week for that. And if not Thursday, here with Joe Pearl, we talk about Impact Wrestling, watching people get murdered, and we yuck it up with you. Joe Pearl, where can they find you? Oh, sorry, before I forget, if all of that was a lot because my brain is off, it's late, guys. Forgive me. Cresta the Star, Twitter, Extra, or whatever that Elon Musk app is, okay? Joe Pearl, where can they find you?
Well, first of all, Iridian's probably not going to be with you guys on Saturday because she's going to be at the show. So there is.
And
that.
I think Rick is going to be at the show.
Is
So
Rick
once
gonna be-
again, bro, I think even Sean is going to be there. So once
No,
again,
Sean's at home. Sean is at home. He's not going to
everybody's
Chicago.
meeting up but Cresta. Yo, Joe, I'm about to mail myself to you in Canada.
Believe me, you don't want to be here either. It's not much going on here. Anyway, I am at Joel Pearl every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over at Fightful Overbooked. I get in the weeds with Jeremy Lambert. We'll be there as always on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern until noon. And of course, we've got a lot going on this weekend. So come and check it out. By the way, for those who are not always on Fightful Overbooked, but you want to watch In the Weeds, first of all, what's wrong with you? You can watch us on Fightful Overbooked. But the first Monday of every month, we bring In the Weeds to the main channel. So go ahead and find us on Monday. We'll be talking about Ring of Honor All Out, and we'll be talking about WWE Payback, among a million other things. So until then, I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you next week when we talk about Impact Wrestling twice in 1 week.